On this episode of the DTVC podcast, Freddie Young from Full Moon Reviews is back, and we are looking at Silent Trigger. So we're going back to the Dolph Lundgren well for 1996's Silent Trigger. Now, before that, of course, we spent the first hour and a half or so talking about Spider-Man Brand New Day and also just sort of the overall feel of the movie theater industry right now, where you've got Spider-Man. Now, when we talked about Spider-Man last week, it was only at like 1.7 billion. Now it's over 2 billion. But, the Odyssey before that, and even kind of throughout the year, Obsession, Project Hail Mary, Michael, all the movies that have been making a lot of money this year. So that's the first part of our conversation, sort of checking in where the movie theater industry is at right now, what we've been seeing going to the theater. And then the second half of the episode, we will be talking about Silent Trigger, Dolph Lundgren, Gina Bellman, directed by Russell Mulcahy. So stay tuned for that. And then next week, Ty from Comeuppance is back on for his monthly spot. We are going to be looking at Hounds of War. So we're firing up the Grillo again with more Frank Grillo, but also this is an Isaac Florentine film. We've been waiting to come on one of the streamers for a long time. It's finally there, so you'll see next week how that one did for us. And then Affinity, Mark Rose's horror film from 2025. So that'll be next week. Also, our spotlight on a fight is going to be the end fight in The Perfect Weapon. So keep an eye out for that. Again, that'll all be next week. Then DTVC Extra. Can I say it? I'm not sure if I can say DTVC Extra, but anyway. DTVC Extra, I'm going to try to do the Mortal Kombat movies this weekend. So I've been kind of working on that episode. So I should be able to get that to you next week. And the way that episode will go, it'll probably, the first half will be the two older movies. The second half will be the two newer movies. But also kind of in there, I'm going to talk about my own experience playing those video games and sort of what that experience was like building up to especially those first two movies. So that will be, I'm going to try for that for this weekend. So keep an eye out for that for DTVC Extra, looking at the Mortal Kombat movies. Then beyond that, I don't know. I guess it depends on when The Mandalorian comes out, if I do that one, or if I do that episode I've talked about doing on the unpicked up pilots. Is that what, the pilots that didn't happen for Marvel movies. So again, that's still an idea that I want to do as well. And then in terms of the site, this past weekend we did Dolph Lundgren's 77th film on the site. We did Hellfire. So speaking of Isaac Florentine, we looked at that one, also starring Stephen Lang and Harvey Keitel. And one of the things Will from Exploding Helicopter, he commented on the Facebook post talking about the average age of the people involved. And the funny thing is, because that movie was made in 2022, Stephen Lang is below the Charles Bronson Death Wish 5 line. And I actually didn't even mention the Charles Bronson Death Wish 5 line in that review. But that is, essentially, he was 73 when he made Death Wish 5. And so for me, that's the line. If you're above that line, if you're older than that, you're past the Bronson line. I feel like Bronson set the standard, and you can't go past that. But now, it seems like a lot of people are going to be going past that standard. It's probably why I didn't even mention it in the review. So, but that was last weekend. We did Hellfire. This Thursday, we're going to be doing Alien Storm, sci-fi screener request from Sonny Mayhall. That one, it's got Tom Arnold, so we're going to see Tom Arnold again, but also it's going to be our first Sorbo in a while, so that's going to be interesting. I haven't done Sorbo in forever because he's kind of become a right-wing nut a bit, so sometimes you just kind of stay away from him because a lot of the movies he's doing, they're like God is dead or whatever, that kind of stuff, and so it's going to be interesting to see him in something else. So we'll see how that is. Look for that review this Thursday. Then this weekend, Active Stealth. We're going to do some more Fred Olen Ray. We haven't done him in a while. So we're going to get him in. Also, Fred Williamson. We haven't seen him in a while. So that'll be this weekend. Also, Tim Abel is in that one, too. So that'll be this weekend. And then we'll do another screener next week. I'm going to try to keep doing these screeners every Thursday like this. We'll see how long I can keep this up for. But Tropical Parasite, Jared Masters movie. So Jared Masters is somebody that I've been following on Instagram for a little while. And I see his movies, like I see the posts about his movies, and I'm like, I really got to check these out because they look like a ton of fun, and I've been meaning to. And so he messaged me about something that I liked. It was a soundtrack thing, and then I was like, hey, I was thinking about reviewing some of your movies. Like, yeah, go for it. And so Tropical Parasite is going to be out on DVD pretty soon after I do the review, or like a few days before I do the review, so you'll be able to check that out, sometime in that range there. So Tropical Parasite, that'll be next week's screener review, and then I think we'll probably end the month with I believe it's called Firing Line. Am I getting the name right for that? The Firing Line. Shannon Tweed, Reb Brown. Watched that one a little while ago. It's in the can. It's gonna get some images for it, but yeah, that'll probably be. We'll end the month of August with that, and I think our first PM movie for the month, because we were looking at in terms of PM movies. We were looking at maybe getting Art Camacho in the 60 Club. So I think The Power Within, he directed that one. So that's probably the one that we'll do. At this point, we're over 5.5 minutes here. So, or closing in on 5.5 minutes. So this might be as good a time for us to call it and start the episode as any. My newest book, Mark and Sales, that is available on Kindle, Kindle Unlimited, and in paperback. You can get that on Amazon. Also, Boston Stories Volume 1, a collection of flash fiction pieces I did about this sort of unnamed de facto King of Boston character, his Norwegian companion Mads, and then Baron von Dieter, the cheeseburger-headed mascot of the Von Dieter franchise. A bunch of flash fiction vignettes of them just getting into all kinds of goofy situations. I started in '06. I was writing it on MySpace. When I first got a MySpace account, I just started using the blog feature to write these flash fiction pieces. I collected them all, put them on Blogger, but then I've sort of downloaded them all, cleaned them all up, and kind of made them into something a little bit more cohesive. So that's going to be out soon. So I'm waiting on the proof copy for that. So you should be getting, so if you want to pick that up, it's a pretty hefty size thing. I mean, the collection, it's like over 400 pages. Now, granted, it's over 400 pages, but it's a lot of, because it's flash fiction, it's a lot of like titles and spacing that takes up some of that real estate. But either way, that should be out soon. Like I said, I've uploaded it all to Amazon. I'm waiting on the proof copies now. So once I get those proof copies, if everything looks good, I'll push it out to publication, and then just watch socials, and I'll kind of let you know about that. But yeah, it might be you won't be hearing about Mark and Sales as much anymore. It'll be about Boston Stories Volume 1. That might be what you're suddenly going to be hearing a lot about. So anyway. Keep an eye out for that. That should be out soon. But anyway, why don't we have John from Miscellaneous Plumbing Fixers playing our theme song? I should quickly point out he is looking to try to get something out for October, for October's October's Bandcamp Friday. So keep an eye out for Bandcamp Fridays here. Even if John doesn't get anything new out from Miscellaneous Plumbing Fixtures, when we get those Bandcamp Fridays, you should go on there and pick up one of his albums, because they all sound great. And you don't even have to wait until Bandcamp Friday. You can just go, the link is in the podcast description. You could go right now while you're listening and pick up one of his albums. It's just when you do Bandcamp Friday, he gets all the money as opposed to most of the money. I don't know how much Bandcamp takes, but so Bandcamp Friday is a little bit better bet for that. But either way, go pick up a Miscellaneous Plumbing Fixture album. One suggestion I might make is Truer Crime, or Where Our Heart Can Be a Shambles. Those are some really great ones. But I'm sure any albums he would appreciate if you wanted to pick them up. So I was going to end this thing at 5.5 minutes. Now we're over 8 minutes. So why don't we have John playing our theme song, and then when we come back, Freddie Young from Full Moon Reviews is on. We're going to be talking about Brand New Day and the movie theater experience right now, and then we'll get in on Silent Trigger. Hey everyone, welcome back to the DTVC podcast. As always, this is Matt here, and I'm joined once again by Freddie Young from Full Moon Reviews. Welcome back, Freddie.
It's always good to be back. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I've been all right. This heat has been not so great, but other than that, it's been okay.
Yeah, I think like a full third of the country is dealing with this right now, because I think it's like the Northeast all the way out to like maybe Chicago, I think is getting this. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's been in the 90s. I think they're cooling down in the Midwest, so hopefully I think by midweek we're supposed to get it too.
I read Europe is pretty bad too in terms of heat.
Yeah. I have colleagues from work that live in like Switzerland, places like that, and they're not used to this kind of heat, so they're not designed for it.
Hmm.
Um, so it's just yeah, it's really bad there. Like at least in the Northeast here in the United States, like you're going to get these kind of things in the summer, but yeah, they have no preparations for it at all.
It's interesting. It's funny because I've been going to the movie theater a lot this summer, so that's
Yeah.
helped a lot being the air conditioner and just enjoying it just for that. Because I've been very like sleep deprived the last few months because they've been doing a lot of construction in my building.
Oh
Uh,
Jesus, yeah.
Pretty much since June. So I've like I get like 8 in the morning. I'm like hearing like hammering and drilling,
Oh yeah,
so I
yeah.
can't sleep at all. And so when I go to the theater, sometimes I'll just like fall asleep in the theater. If the movie's like really dull, I'll just go, "Oh, okay, I'm just gonna take a nap here."
Right. Well, because you've got the AMC pass, right? So you've got
Yeah, A-list. Yeah.
yeah, so you get unlimited access to, right? You can go to as many regular screenings as you want, right? Is that
It's 4 movies a week,
oh, okay.
but in any format.
Oh, right. Oh, so you can do like IMAX and stuff.
IMAX, Dolby, yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, Richard Kirkham, who does the Lambcast podcast, he was telling me about it as well. He was like, because he was telling me I should do it, which I mean, yeah, I think I went to Spider-Man Brand New Day. I think it was my fourth movie of the year. So in the theater, so I could,
I, I mean, if you go to like maybe 2 movies a month, it pays
yeah,
off. It pays off.
right. That's what he was saying. Because it was like I was saying how when I went to see Mandalorian and Mortal Kombat 2, they were in like the Prime, the AMC Prime.
Uh-huh.
And so it was $18 just for the ticket. And he's like, well, that's, yeah, you're good. 2 movies covers you there. So you're good.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, when you do four a week, you're getting down into that level. If you do four a week over the course of a month, you're like talking like $2 a movie.
And that's what I do. Like, if I watch maybe like three, maybe like at least 3 a week.
Yeah.
Cause I try to watch like every new thing I could get my hands on. So I'm surrounded by a lot of AMC theaters in the city. So like sometimes like I go to one on 34th Street. That's the main one I go to, and
Yeah.
it has like IMAX, Dolby, all that stuff. And they play pretty much like the commercial stuff there.
Hmm.
And but let's say they play like a limited movie or like an indie movie, I'll go to the one in Lincoln Square,
Yeah.
which is more upper West Side. But I'll go there.
So you get more of a selection. It's
Right.
interesting because Philly is kind of similar. So one thing, Philly doesn't have IMAX. I actually found this out over the weekend when I was doing that Lambcast podcast because one of the other guests was from Philly and she said, yeah, there's no more IMAX in Philly. You can't go to
That
IMAX here
that
anymore.
that that's crazy. It's this big city. How
Right.
do you not have IMAX? You have Dolby at least?
Yes, yeah, there are some that
Okay.
have Dolby. So the IMAX, it used to be, I think, down here in South Philly in the big theater, they closed during the pandemic. So I think that's what it was. So the Philly area has IMAX. You got to go outside. Like I think New Jersey, I think some of the South Jersey ones have it, or some of the other suburbs have it. But
Right.
yeah, in the city you can't get it. But it's interesting because there are two AMC's in Philadelphia. There's the Center City one that's
Mhm.
at the mall that they have that used to be the gallery. So you remember the Will Smith song, Parents
Yeah.
is going to the gallery mall. So that used to be the gallery. Now it's called the Fashion District. They put an AMC dine in there. That one has all the commercial releases, and it like I think it was only showing 4 movies. I think this past weekend it was showing Spider-Man, Odyssey. Toy Story and one night only. That's all it was showing
Okay.
for 8 theaters. And then there's one further north near where Temple University is. And that's the one that I saw Silent Night, Deadly Night, to do Silent Night, Deadly Night there. So they kind of do like what you're saying the Upper West Side one does, where it's like, you
Our
know,
house, indie.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but the thing is, because I mean, we're talking kind of about the movie theater right now, because Spider-Man Brand New Day was doing so well, they added earlier screenings of it. So I went
Hmm.
to like a 9:20 or 9:30 screening of Brand New Day, and it was actually almost full. Like, yeah, it was
It's like
crazy.
it's like Endgame.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. They did like 24 hours. Just you can go to the theater just to watch Endgame,
Yeah.
and it'll be full each time.
Right. Yeah. I've never seen. So the closest that I'd ever seen this theater for a matinee packed was when I went to Deadpool and Wolverine, but that was an 11 a.m. matinee on a Sunday. And that was still only like a quarter full. Like this one, I would say, you know how, I don't know if your AMC is like this, where when you're in the regular theater, it's like they've got the accessible seating and a gap. And then you've got like the ones that are close to the screen and then everything else behind it.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So everything behind the accessible seating was full. So I had to get my seat down. I was like the first row, after that gap. So I was
Mm.
like, right up near the screen kind of. And nobody was sitting in those seats. Like those seats were pretty much all empty. But I looked behind me and it was packed. And I've never seen it like that for a Saturday morning matinee.
It's wild because everyone was talking about superhero fatigue,
Right.
and we talked about it the last time about Supergirl, how it was gonna bomb, and it did bomb.
It did,
Um,
yes. Yeah.
um, and I watched it. It's what it is, what it is.
Yeah, same.
Uh, but people say, "Oh, the superhero genre is dead," and you watch Spider-Man, it's like Spider-Man's like, "Hold my beer." You know what I mean? And just like saved everything. Like, okay,
Right.
best box office since 2019. So it's like that and the Odyssey were pretty much just helping the box office, and it's crazy. I went the opening night for Spider-Man. I couldn't even get the Dolby tickets because it was like sold out quickly, and it crashed the AMC site. I couldn't even get on it. Um,
Wow.
so I got the regular theater. It was completely sold out. You can if you were like standing inside, like people like I guess walked in. I don't know if
Yeah.
they like skipped the theater. Maybe they went to see a movie. They ended and they just came to the theater and were standing in the rows in the aisles. It was crazy. I had never seen this in so long.
Right.
I
Yeah.
was
Well,
like,
it's been since before the pandemic, right?
yeah, that's what I felt like. I was like Netflix saying, "Oh, the theater is dead." At least streaming services saying it's dead. It's like this is not dead. It's like booming.
Right.
Like this is crazy. And people were loving it. People were cheering. It felt like everyone was like back together in one like mood. You know what I mean? Like, everybody's so divided now that we're in that theater. I felt like everyone was unionized, and it felt
Yeah.
so nice.
Yeah, it's crazy because like again, I went the week after and I saw people with Spider-Man shirts there. And
Hmm.
if somebody's got a Spider-Man shirt on, they either had something really important during opening weekend, like they had to go to a wedding or something like that, or they're already there for their second viewing. Like they're already coming back to see the movie again.
Right. And I saw it twice. So I saw it the first time in the regular. I saw it again in Dolby,
Yeah.
and it must have been like a few days ago. Actually, I saw it, and there was people still gasping when the I guess you could spoil it. I don't think we want to spoil it.
Oh no, I mean, well, because this episode's going to come out and it'll been
Oh,
three
okay,
weekends in the theater at that point when this episode drops.
okay.
So
So
I
so
think
so
we can
the
spoil it. Yeah.
okay. So the Jean Grey character when that's
Yeah.
revealed, people were gasping. I was like, this has been all over the internet. How you
Right. I
missed
didn't
this?
know. I actually didn't know either. I avoided everything about this movie. I avoided the only things that I knew going into the movie was that it had the Punisher and it had Scorpion. And the Hulk. I knew it had the Hulk as well. But I avoided everything. So when I was like, who is this baddie? Who are they going to use? I was thinking it might be Madam Web because they had, she has like the hood on and
Right.
I was like, they can't be doing Madam Web. That's ridiculous. And then when they said it was Jean Grey, it was like all of my like late 80s, early 90s comic book geekdom, like just was like fist pumping. Like I just thought that was like it was so basic.
And that's how smart Sony is because the
Mhm.
marketing never revealed that character. And
Yeah.
there was always rumors about it. Everyone say, "Oh, she's Jean Grey because she's right hand. She's Jean Grey. They're doing the X-Men, so she has to be Jean Grey, or
Yeah.
she's or somebody like that." But they never said who she was. And even Sadie Sink, to her credit, never admitted to it. Even though they tried to bait her,
Yeah.
she never once spoke out and said, "I'm Jean Grey." And that's what they did with No Way Home with the two Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield and
Yes.
Tobey Maguire. The same thing.
Yeah.
That's very smart. And that's why people got to the theater. And it was like, who is this character? Who is the villain? No one knew who the villain was because
Right.
you don't think Scorpion's the main villain. I mean, come on, he's like a
Right.
B villain. Um,
Right.
so then you got to wonder like, okay, who's this person with telepathic powers, control everybody? It has to be an X-Men.
Right.
So genius marketing.
Yeah.
And then they waited like I think a week and a half to say, okay, she's Jean Grey. Like it's smart. They waited.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
well, I was gonna say because I stayed off of IMDb, so I had learned my lesson. I can't remember what it was, but there was something where IMDb spoiled it for me. So
Uh,
I didn't even go to IMDb to like look and see like how much the movie had made or anything like that. Like I think I did. Actually, no, I think I did. I looked away from my screen and scrolled down to
uh,
see how it was doing in the box office, so I didn't see any of the cast. So that's how much I was avoiding everything, so I could be as surprised as possible. But IMDb, they have since spoiled it. If you go on IMDb now, it says that that she was playing Jean Grey.
they did it the night of the opening night.
Okay, that
Yeah.
makes sense. Yeah,
So Yeah, but like I knew it because I was kind of like suspecting it. Like, okay, who else could she be?
Hmm.
So when I saw it, I was like gasping, but I was kind of like, oh, this is actually pretty interesting because I'm like, why would you introduce her into a Spider-Man movie? Which is very, I mean, in the comics, they kind of, I don't think they're close, but they're kind of like on good terms.
Right,
But
right.
for her to be like like a major character in a Spider-Man movie was very interesting. So the first time I saw it, I was like a 9 out of 10. I was like, I'm not sure where this character is going.
Yeah,
But then I watched it again, knowing everything. I was like, okay, this is a 10 out of 10 movie. Like this is just
yeah,
a perfect Spider-Man movie where it's so grounded, street level Spider-Man, comic book accurate Spider-Man, where you have the Punisher, the Hulk, great cameo by the Hulk,
yeah, oh, yes.
John Bertho as Punisher, probably his best performance as the character. And when people want to complain, well, he's not R-rated, who cares? He has great chemistry with Tom Holland. I thought Zendaya was used very well. No, she was like the main focus of the movie, but she was used as not as a damsel in distress either, which I
Yeah,
liked.
yeah,
Um, I like the whole like aftermath of No Way Home, him trying to deal with the fact that he can't be with his friends and all this stuff, and that triggers his secondary mutation. I think that was very smart, and I'm looking forward to what they do. And I kind of get where they're going with this now. I don't know if you saw the after credits. I don't know if you stayed for that.
I did. I stayed for like the video game, right, or the
Yeah,
app, right, the app.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you understand what that was implying.
Is I was trying to see, was that means he's going to space? Is that what it is? And he's going to get
Yeah,
the black suit?
yeah, so this is Secret Wars. Yeah, so he's going to
Right.
Battle World, and that's the symbiote. So that's
Right.
so part five is pretty much gonna be Venom, I think.
Okay, that makes sense. Because you remember we talked about this. I want to say it was last year, not at this time, maybe last fall, something like that, where we were, or maybe no, it was probably 2 years ago when Marvel had kind of just, I think maybe they just had a decent run with Deadpool and Wolverine, but there was talk about what they wanted to do for this Spider-Man movie and how Marvel and Disney wanted to do a street level Spider-Man, but Sony wanted to do this big, null
No,
space.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, and we were like, man, we hope it's a street level, but we think Sony's going to want to push for the space thing. I don't know how Sony was convinced or how maybe they just looked at how this was going to work and they said, okay, let's do it. It was the most brilliant idea. Again, MCU, they seem to get these things right more than they get them wrong, it seems.
I like to thank the fact that both the last Venom and then Craven bombed. So because I think if the last Venom did really well, I think we
Yeah,
would have had the no storyline because I think that character wasn't done. He was saying, "I'm
yeah.
going to come back and finish what I'm going to do." The fact that those movies bombed and they only decided they're not going to do any more spin-offs for the time
Yeah, oh,
being
yes. Yeah.
tells me that they went, okay, let's do a more grounded thing. I think they saw that Punisher did so well on the Daredevil show
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
think besides the premiere, those two episodes that he was on were very successful.
Oh, yeah.
And then the special did okay. So that they were kind of like, okay, let's bring Punisher in. We got Mark Ruffalo, might as well get him to do something to lead into maybe Doomsday or Secret Wars. And then let's introduce X-Men in a certain
Yeah.
way, and let's bring in Jean Grey, which still I still kind of wonder why they did that choice, but I kind of like that they did it because it was so off the box.
Yes.
And it wasn't like a typical villain because she wasn't like I guess she kind of did kill someone, but she didn't kill someone because the guy was like got hit with the car. That guy
Right.
should have died, but I guess he didn't. Um, but I thought that was interesting. I thought the way they connected the two characters was very smart. They were going through
Hmm.
the same change together, and they were both lonely, and they kind of like she helped him live, and I think also she kind of helped um, MJ and Ned get their memories back in some way too. I think she kind of helped with that as well. So I kind of thought that was kind of interesting. And I'm kind of very, very interested in what they do with the X-Men at this point. And I also think
Yeah.
this helps Doomsday in a lot of ways because now it gives momentum to that movie. Now they go, okay, MCU's back. Okay, well now we're gonna do with these characters now. And how does this connect with Spider-Man and Secret Wars? So now that's smart.
Yeah, and they were already generating that buzz with that trailer where you see like, Shang-Chi fighting
Yeah,
Gambit.
Gambit, yeah.
Oh, and
X-Men, Cyclops, accurate.
yes, yeah, it's like it's so and I think the other thing, and this was something I talked about with brand when I did my solo podcast talking about Brand New Day, was that I also think that it's like a combination of like Marvel getting it right for the comic book fans. So like they go watch it, love it, want to come back and see it over and over again. But then I also think like just this whole year at the movie theater has built so much momentum, with like with
Mhm.
Michael and Obsession, and then you get to Odyssey, and I mean you've got three people in Odyssey that are also in Spider-Man, and I think
Yeah.
yeah. And I mean, I think Odyssey got a lot of people who don't usually go to the theater back to the theater. And I think they loved it so much they were like, what's the next thing? What's the next thing to go see? So it's like that crew combined with the comic book fan crew just makes this big, massive thing that we, like you said, we haven't seen since 2019.
I think Michael was really the start of it. Well, like
Yeah.
Super Mario did very well before that.
That's right.
But
Yeah.
but that's like obviously it's like a kids movie. People would go see it anyway. Hopper did okay before that as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Michael was the trigger, and I think
Yeah.
that was like even though the movie itself I don't think it was great like a storytelling way, but I think it was an event.
Yeah.
Like the music, the actor was fantastic in that role, so it was very convincing. And then you have these indie guys from YouTube making
Yes.
movies.
Right.
Obsession and Backrooms. Obsession is a very grounded movie with supernatural
Yeah.
elements. Backrooms was a very, internet savvy kind of movie that people were interested. Like, what is this thing about? Like these rooms that are sentient. Like, what does this
Yeah.
mean? So people were interested. And then, you have all these like storytelling IP, like Devil Wears Prada too, did very well.
Yes.
Toy Story 5 did very well. And then you have the Odyssey, which is Nolan obviously is going to do very well, but it's a story everyone knows. It's pretty much the first superhero story ever written, if you really
Yeah.
think about it. And it was just given this event treatment, like, oh, you gotta watch it in IMAX, it's the only way to watch it. All these big actors, and I think that also helps Spider-Man because Tom Holland and John Berthel's and also in that.
Yeah.
Robert Pattinson's on a roll as well. He's doing very well. I think it's so smart the way they market all these movies. I was afraid because I thought it would eat out Spider-Man's box office because it came out so close together. Like how Fantastic Four and Superman did
Right.
last
Yeah.
year. But it didn't. I think it was like a Barbenheimer situation where they both helped each other.
Right. Yeah, which I think this. I was saying I think this should be a lesson for Disney because Disney's approach has always been to crush their competition.
Mm-hmm.
To like flood the markets flood the theaters with their movies so that their competition they can only put out so many movies. So it's like okay, if Warner wants to put out Superman, we'll box it in with Thunderbolts and Mandal or whatever. A Pixar movie. We can do that. And I think this shows is that no, you don't want to crush your competition. You need your competition because there's a momentum that comes that when we were growing up, that was how the movie theater worked. Was that you started in January with movies that weren't that big, but they would kind of get a little bit of a buzz, and then by the time you got to the summer, everybody was there to go see Terminator 2 or whatever. And I mean, this is doing even bigger than Terminator 2, but it's like
Mm-hmm.
it seems like the same kind of organic feeling. And I think there's probably more like Gen Z was going to Obsession, they were going to. I think more Gen Z went to Michael as well, but I think Michael in particular got more people to the theater that don't usually go to the theater. And then, I mean, Odyssey, I think Odyssey also not only does you've got Spider-Man disproving superhero fatigue, the Odyssey is disproving this whole go woke, go broke thing because
Right.
people just don't care. They don't care about that. They just want to see a movie that is made well. And in this case, maybe even you could say you made the hard way, right? Because they didn't use as many, computer
CGI.
effects,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? But with a big cast where you can just look down, 10 to 15 names and recognize,
Mm-hmm.
and that was how movies used to be in the 90s
It,
and the
was-
80s and 90s. You'd see
it,
15
it,
names.
it's like
Yeah.
it's like the '60s, like Ben-Hur, Spartacus,
Yes.
all those big
Yeah.
name, but big budget, big name, all-star casts. That's what it felt like very old school in that way. And the fact that he used like practical effects, models, stuff
Yeah.
like that. They did all that stuff themselves
Yeah.
on the water. Like that's nuts. I think
Yeah.
Matt Damon would say that's the hardest movie he ever worked on in his entire career. And you could tell he's in shape for that movie. Like he worked out for that movie.
Right. Right.
Like you guys like almost like, he's like 55 years old. He's like better shape than most like 30-year-olds at this point
Right.
for that
Right.
movie.
Yeah.
So it's like yeah, it's like it felt like I don't want to say like Hollywood. I guess maybe Hollywood. I don't know if it's like anti-Hollywood. Maybe it is in a way where it's like they try to do like the same stuff over and over again, and you have these outliers that are telling you, no, this is what the new generation wants.
Yeah. Yeah.
like stuff like Obsession, which is just a very relatable movie without the wish stuff, right? Like a stalker who's obsessed with someone who wants to change her in his own image, and how that backfires on him, right? That's a very relatable thing. Backrooms is very much like nightmare stuff, nightmare fuel.
Yeah.
And people have dreams like that. So people can relate to that. Odyssey, people have read the book. People understand what that stuff is about. Spider-Man, I think Spider-Man honestly is the most relatable superhero out there.
Yeah.
So people are gonna watch that regardless. Um, and then Prada is very much like influencers and fashion people, women who want to see stuff like that. So yeah, they're catering to everybody. And the best part about it is that it's not very message heavy. There's
Yeah.
messages in the movies, but it's not like in your face about it.
No, and I mean, I think seeing success of something like Michael or Project Hail Mary is another one that kind of started
Another
the
one,
year
yeah,
off,
yeah,
and
you're right, man, right.
yeah, I think one of the things it seems like every year, except for this year, for obvious reasons, but it seems like every year, at least one of the entertainment magazines does the death of cinema, right? The end of the
Hmm.
theater, all of that kind of thing. And then usually somewhere around the middle of the year, things pick up and you start to get stuff. But I think it's been a long time since we've seen something like this where you've just had, and like you mentioned 2019, but it's interesting because 2019 you had Endgame as kind of like the big thing that was sort of like pulling up, especially pulling all the superhero movies up, and everybody wanted to see every superhero movie because of that. This is like everything. It's you run the
Yeah,
gamut of genres and actors and stories and everything, and it just seems like it's culminating with Spider-Man right now.
it is funny. Like people now say that death to streaming, like streaming
Yeah.
is dying because everyone's going back to the theaters, and it's amazing how well this year has done. Like, I think, yeah, like you said, it's different genres doing this, and I think people just want something different. I think that people are just tired. Like, oh no, this like you said, Project Hail Mary. Like, I forgot about that. Like my favorite movie of the year still.
Yeah.
Such a great fucking movie.
Yeah.
And it's just because of storytelling. And it's a puppet, an alien puppet. You know what I mean? Who they say, oh, you should get an Oscar nomination? It's a puppet. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? That's how good it is. Like Ryan Gosling's biggest hit he ever had besides Barbie. Like it's crazy. And now he got Ghost Rider
Yes. Which is
because
going to be
probably,
interesting.
and I think he'll kill it.
Yes. Yeah. I
So
agree.
so it's and yeah, like we talk about superhero Marvel right now is on a roll. Like what they got next is Doomsday, right?
Right.
And then
Doomsday is coming up this
right?
December.
And then
Yeah.
next year there's only one movie, it's Secret Wars. Then we have
Yeah.
one, which is gonna
Yeah.
be huge. Um,
Right.
and then they have three in 2028, which are all big names: Ghost Rider, X-Men, and Black Panther 3.
Yeah.
They're on a roll. They're good.
Yeah, and it's crazy because you think about 3 years ago, when the Marvels comes out, and
Right.
Bob Iger kind of gets with Kevin Feige and says, "All right, we got to change all this stuff." And there were a few other things that happened, right? That Jonathan Majors,
Hmm.
arrested, for domestic violence. So it was interesting because I think there was a combination of they liked Jonathan Majors before all that stuff happened because they just liked him as Kang. But I think they were realizing like, oh, he's really great as Kang, but Kang is not moving the needle as a baddie the way Thanos did. And there was like a lot of it seemed like they were losing momentum with each successive movie where it's like Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, people really liked it, but then they were like, oh, that's it for, John Krasinski, or that's it for Patrick Stewart. It's like I see the commercial and I can't wait to see him in the movie, and then that's it. That Scarlet Witch kills him in 2 seconds, and okay, that's all I get for that. And then like Ant-Man and Wasp: Quantumania didn't do well. Thor Ragnarok was another, or Love and Thunder
Love
was
and
another
Thunder.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like people were excited to see that because they liked Ragnarok, and then they get there and they're like, huh, that this isn't really what I was expecting. And it felt like there was a lot of that happening that. It kind of culminated with the Marvels, where people just said, you know what, I'll get this one on streaming. And, Kevin Feige and Bob Iger got together and said, okay, we'll just put out Deadpool and Wolverine the next year, and it ends up crushing it, right? It does like what almost I think I don't know if it just edged out Black Panther, or it's like because I think now with Spider-Man you have to say the highest grossing non-Avengers, non-Spider-Man movie, right? Because it's like,
Yeah,
Spider-Man
yeah.
ones are making so much money. But then they had these movies last year that I think they just had to kind of do. Like, I think they just, Brave New World was in the can and they just had to get it out there. Thunderbolts, I think they greenlit that when it was a different world. And now they're like, okay,
Hmm.
we'll just use these to kind of set things up for next year. And so they didn't earn well. I mean, none of them were top 10 earners last year, but they were kind of setting things up for this year. But then they hit this Spider-Man thing out of the park. And I mean, Disney needed the win. I mean, yes, Toy Story did well for them and Devil Wears Prada was good for them. But, and I mean, technically it's not Disney's win. It's more Sony's, I guess, right? Because it's
Right.
like,
Yeah.
yeah. But either way, the MCU needed that win. And I mean, and I think it's really, really big because it's the same year that James Gunn is going with Supergirl and Clayface. Whereas like last year, Superman kind of did some damage to Fantastic Four and kind of prevented Fantastic Four from making maybe at least maybe a top 10 earner or something like that. But I mean, this year, I mean, Spider-Man it just like sort of reasserts their dominance in this, comic book world.
I think what happened with Marvel was that they were so focused on building Disney Plus
Yeah.
that they lost the plot. Because I feel like, obviously you had like good stuff like WandaVision, Winter Soldier, the Falcon Winter Soldier was great. Loki was
Loki, yeah.
fantastic. So you had those like three major ones, and then you kept doing like Miss Marvel and Secret Invasion, which was one of some of the worst TV shows I ever watched. Um, but yeah, so I think it was so focused on using these TV characters in these movies that people didn't care. Like it was like
Right.
it felt lesser than, right? Like what's the point of this? Um, I think Multiverse of Madness did well because obviously Sam Raimi directed it, and
Yeah.
there was a
Yeah.
sequel to Doctor Strange. Obviously came out right after No Way Home as well. But then what? How did they treat Scarlet Witch?
Right.
They treated her like crap, and I think that turned a lot of people
Right.
off.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah. Which
so
I think that's what starts. I think you're right. Like between the TV shows and being flooded with the TV shows, and then Multiverse of Madness, it kind of starts the ball rolling. And this is what early 2022.
too,
That
yeah.
that like 18 months later you get 2023. And I think to your point too about like shows like Ms. Marvel. There's nothing wrong with having a show for Ms. Marvel, right? And just doing a couple, two or three seasons of that show and let it find its audience, let it develop, and let it, instead of just being like, okay, one season, 6 episodes, whatever it is, 8 episodes, boom, we're putting her in a movie that we're going to spend $220 million on and hope it earns $1 billion.
Yeah, and it just felt like where is this going,
Yeah.
right? Like, and then you had like Ironheart, which I never watched.
Yeah, me
Um,
neither. No, I haven't seen that one.
well, I don't know what they're doing with that character, to be honest. Maybe it should be in Black Panther. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where you're making content on characters that no one wants to see,
Yeah. Definitely.
and I felt like like the Marvels, like we said, was a good movie, but I think it was just with characters that people couldn't connect with.
Yeah.
So you had like the outliers, like Black Panther 2 did well because of Chadwick Boseman. They wanted to see how that was going to happen with that, and then you had the Guardians 3, which did very well, because that was the last James Gunn film that he was doing for Marvel, and then you had Deadpool and Wolverine, which was nostalgia bait, really, but
Right.
that
Yeah.
works every time. So I feel like now with Spider-Man, that wasn't nostalgia. I just people just generally care about Spider-Man. I think people love Tom Holland and Zendaya together. I
Yeah.
think they're movie stars, and a couple that every generation loves because they seem like a real, like legit couple. Like you can tell some couples are very like created by Hollywood to sell tickets, but with them you can tell they're legit.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think and I think that comes across on the screen as well.
Yeah, I agree with you there too completely. And then also John Bernthal, I think this idea, I understand people being concerned about the PG-13 Punisher, but see the way that they play that out is that John Bernthal, obviously, or no, sorry, Frank Castle, obviously,
Mhm.
he was a father and his kids were killed. And so he has this kind of fatherly or maybe like uncle, avuncular kind of
Big
uncle,
brother, yeah.
yeah, big brother kind of relationship towards him. And that's going to naturally make him less likely to swear and use profanity. At least that's how it felt. That's how it felt the character was. And I thought that worked perfect. I think, and like you said, the chemistry that he had with Tom Holland, I mean, it's John Bernthal. I think that maybe that's one thing that maybe people shouldn't worry so much about. Like if anybody's going to be able to pull off PG-13 Punisher. He's not going to want to do PG-13 Punisher all the time, right? I mean, he was
Right.
insistent that if he was going to come back and do it on Daredevil, that he wasn't going to tone the character down for Daredevil, but he can do it, every once in a while, and he was perfect there. Yeah, I mean, all of that. I mean, Ruffalo, of course, he's always great as the Hulk. I think the thing that people didn't like about the new Spider-Man was that you could kind of predict it, but I actually was okay with that. Like, okay, the Department of Damage Control guy, we know he's going to be a jerk off, right? We just know that character is going to be whenever the government characters are in these movies, the heroes trust them, but they're jerk offs, and then we find out they're a jerk off later, and so it's like, okay, let's just go through that but like seeing the growth of Tom Holland's character, and then seeing everything unfold. Even if I know what's going to happen from a plot standpoint, seeing how they make it work, I think was good enough for me.
I think sometimes predictable is a good thing,
Yeah.
especially when it's done really well. Like the whole movie makes sense. Like and the fact that at the end, what he's fighting the hand, and the hand is using weapons against him.
Right.
Like, oh, the whole time they were studying you, learning your weaknesses. Like, it makes sense. That's what the government does, right?
Right.
They retain their power. Um, yeah, I didn't mind the predictability at all. Like, he's gonna save Jean Grey from what she was going through,
Yeah.
so she could go meet Xavier eventually and become an
Yes.
X-Men. I mean, yeah, that's how you steer course and get back on track. I think they were trying too hard with a lot of these movies
Yeah.
to try to make it like, oh, this big bad thing, and you just gotta be grounded and just be like, no, this is a good story. Let's tell a good story. I think a lot of that goes to Tom Holland, who said the first version of the movie sucked, and then he was like,
Right.
he said him and Zayden came in and they wrote the script themselves, like a lot of it,
Yeah.
and they were like, this is what we're gonna do. He was a producer on it. And we're gonna make this grounded. We're gonna make it like the comic books. He was a big fan of the video game. You could tell a lot of the stuff in the movie based off the video games, like the way he
Yeah.
fights, fantastic. Um, Him and Bertha are like best friends in real life, so he's gonna take care of him.
Yeah.
So and it was great. Like that's what you do. He was protecting the property. Like we're not just doing an MCU movie. We're doing a Spider-Man movie, and we're
Yeah.
gonna make it damn good. And he succeeded in that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing. And I think it also shows too, I think from Marvel's standpoint, and maybe I think just from a comic book movie standpoint overall, is that you kind of look at you've got from Marvel, it's Spider-Man, and then probably Wolverine and Deadpool are their three biggest, and DC it's probably it's Batman, then Superman and Wonder Woman are probably
Right.
their three biggest, maybe Green Lantern, or Flash, but those are probably their three. And there was the Batman that came out, and it did like
Mm-hmm.
three-quarters of a billion, but Spider-Man is proving that like bigger than than Batman in the late 80s or Superman in the late 70s, early 80s. Like Superman or Spider-Man is it. Like this is,
Yeah.
and also bigger than Wolverine, bigger than Deadpool, right? That like, if you get a Spider-Man movie right, it's gonna blow up now. It's like we've kind of hit the right like mix of all this stuff for Spider-Man, where it's Tom Holland, he's a great Spider-Man, but then also by putting him in the MCU, where you can just, hey, we're just going to throw Punisher in here. I mean, how many Spider-Man movies would we have liked to have seen the Punisher, in this Spider-Man movie? And it's like, there he is, then there's Hulk, and it's like, and then to make Jean Grey the villain, when they revealed that, because again, I had no idea. So I was trying to guess who this person was. When they say, oh, her name's Jean something Grey, I was like, did they just say Jean Grey? Is that what they said? I was like, oh, this is beautiful. And they said in interviews, I guess, that there wasn't an impetus from Kevin Feige to get the X-Men in this movie. So they were just looking at villains, and they had this idea of a villain that could jump into people's brains, and they thought, why don't we, who could we use for that? Oh, Jean Grey's available. What if we did that? If that's true, I don't know. I don't know if I believe them. I do feel like there might have been a sense of like, let's start getting the X-Men in here, but either way, it worked.
I think I read that was a Tom Holland idea.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He figured we're gonna go X-Men, might as well bring her in.
Yeah.
And I'll figure. He had to stay on the movie. He's like, I will figure out how to use her,
Yeah.
and make her. Yeah, she'll be a bad guy, but not in a way that is not justified.
Yeah.
Because she's justified with what she does in a lot of ways.
Oh,
Because what
yes.
they do to her sister. So, and the X-Men are always like that, where the government's always after them
Yeah.
because they're different. So I like them when I watched the second time. I was like, okay, I like this what they did with it. And then hearing that they're gonna bring Storm in for Black Panther 3,
Oh, okay.
It,
So they're going to do it. Okay. Because we
yeah,
were saying they should have done it for Black Panther too, but if they're all right, if they're going to do it for Black Panther 3,
that's what
that's good.
that's what I've been reading. And the girl
Yeah.
who Jamie Lawson, who's in Sinners, is supposedly going to
Mhm.
play her, which is the perfect
Okay.
choice, I think.
Yeah, that
Um,
would be great.
so yeah, they seem to be on path where they should be going.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see what Doomsday does, but I heard Doomsday from people who saw the first cut of it, they say it looks really good.
Yeah.
So it is that it's crazier. It says closer to Infinity War than it is to Endgame.
Yeah.
So that's going to be pretty wild. I feel bad for Dune 3. Let me just say that.
Yes.
I think at the beginning of this, I was like, Dune 3 could really cut out of Doomsday. I think Doomsday's going to demolish
It's done now, right?
Doomsday. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
'Cause I just don't see, it's like the trailer itself, right? So between this movie's success, between how, and I think the trailer for Doomsday, I think does help this movie a little bit too, because I think people were
Hmm.
like, we got to get out there and see this. I mean, I think it's the other thing that this movie has done, and I think the other thing that Kevin Feige and I'd say Bob Iger because he's the CEO of Disney, but I don't think he's had as much to do with it, So, but I think this whole decision to say, okay, we're going to bring Robert Downey Jr. back for to play Doctor Doom. We're gonna make Doctor Doom the villain, and all of this kind of stuff that they've done here to change course. It's really starting to they've kind of built that thing back that they had in 2019, and it's kind of crazy to think that like I mean they've had some other good movies since then, but I mean other than they've only had a couple. This is only what the third $1 billion earner, I think. Well, I guess because that's right. The second Spider-Man movie came after Endgame, and that was a $1 billion earner as well. So I guess this is the fourth one technically since the Endgame came out. But still, it's like this feels like what it felt like in 2019, like you were saying.
And yeah, you said you bring back Robert Downey, you bring back Chris Evans, who will say that he will never come back for it. And you got to
Right?
wonder why he came back for it. So that's interesting. I think people are intrigued, and I think,
Yeah,
like we said, Tony Stark and Steve Rogers were the heart of that whole MCU,
yeah,
and to bring them in some different form in Doomsday is interesting. And you bring X-Men in there, Fantastic Four is in there, Namor, was it Black Panther? All these characters are in this one movie. Thunderbolts, Falcons team of the
yeah.
Avengers. Like you wonder, like, where is this going to go? So and the trailer was, I, the trailer to me looked kind of AI, to be honest with you.
Right.
I'm not
Yes.
gonna
Yeah.
lie, that's the way those effects looked. But I was so excited for it. I'm curious what they do with it. I thought
Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr.'s accent was really good.
Yeah.
So that was great. And then you watch Dune 3 trailer. I'm like, I've kind of seen this movie twice before.
Right, right. Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing because I think, we had talked about early in the year, like this Spider-Man movie had to be a hit for Marvel
Yeah,
and DC.
yeah,
Like they needed this one. Now, we were talking like it just needed to earn $1 billion. We weren't saying it needed to be like a record breaker like it seems to be
it's
at this point.
crazy.
Yeah. Because it's already 1.6 billion and
No,
that
it's 1.7 now.
1.7 now. It's made this at 1.7. So it's like, yeah, I mean, you figure it's got to be close. It's going to be close to 2 billion by the end of this next weekend.
Yeah, they're saying this weekend might hit 2 billion. Yeah.
Yeah, it's insane. And I mean, again, like I said, I was seeing people at my showing a week after it came out who were going at least, I could tell we're going at least a second time.
Hmm.
It's possible that it was a third time. It's possible that some of these people went, I mean, because again, to get up to that kind of number, to be at like 1.6 billion by the end of the second weekend, like you've got people that probably saw it opening weekend and then went again midweek and then went that weekend as well. That, just like so into it that they went, that's the only way you can get that kind of money. You can get that kind of gate. And yeah, Deadpool and Wolverine definitely got repeat viewers. I know that one
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure. But I mean, I don't think a Marvel movie has done that really since Deadpool and Wolverine. And then before that, I mean, because like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, that was a really great movie, but it didn't get repeat viewers to the same extent because, animal abuse is not really something you
Yeah.
want to see.
It was a very dark, bleak movie. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was supposed to be Guardians of the Galaxy's $1 billion earner. If you look at from the
Hmm.
previous trilogies, right? That like Iron Man 3 was the $1 billion earner. Captain America Civil War was the $1 billion earner. Like usually, I mean, Spider-Man doesn't really count because Spider-Man was like by the second one it was already getting $1 billion. But still, for most of them, that's usually, I mean, Thor didn't work out that way. But Thor Ragnarok was kind of the big earner
Hmm.
proportionally. So based off the first two entries for Guardians of the Galaxy, the third one was supposed to be $1 billion earner, and that's why they spent over 250 million to make that movie. And then but also I think because of the whole controversy with James Gunn, where they fired him and then brought him
Yeah.
back, they were kind of like, okay, if we're bringing him back, we'll let him do whatever he wants. I'm sure if they had more of a say, they would have been like, let's tone down the animal abuse. We can't do that much. Now, granted, I don't know if it would have been as good of a movie if they didn't, if it wouldn't have, may not have been as powerful if he toned some of that stuff down. But I think it would have led to more repeat viewings that would have gotten it over that $1 billion mark.
I mean, it still made a lot of money.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
and at that time, they needed that money.
yes, oh yeah,
So I mean, yeah, it's not. It's up to three. That's probably the one I would watch the least, to be honest. Because I
yeah.
think it's a great movie. But yeah, it's not a movie I would like want to watch over and over again. This is it was very like when I first watched, I was like, this is kind of very depressing.
Right, it's right. It's a rough. I mean, there's that scene. I mean, there's like just the animals. Rocket as an like that
Hmm.
animal abuse stuff. It's. I mean, granted, this has been a theme for like kind of the first two movies of the first two Superman movies, or Superman and Supergirl. The first two DC movies from James Gunn. Right, his animal abuse has been a big part of those as well. So he's obviously got that's something important to him. That's something he wants to have a message about. But it also as much as when I'm on Instagram, I'm I'll like and support a message about something like that. But really, what I'm looking for is the cats that are like running around and pawing each other and
Yeah.
having fun. That's kind of the animal content that I'm looking for.
I also think the Chris Pratt issue also
Yes.
hurt that movie. Um, it's unfortunate. That's probably why he has not come back since. I don't know. He might be in Secret Wars. Who knows? But yeah, I think that also did help. Um, but yeah, I think it still did well. I think like Black Panther 2 did very well as well. Because
Yeah.
people were just curious how they're gonna continue that story. I think part three can do very well.
Yes.
Because they cast David Johnson, who's an amazing actor.
Hmm.
And him and Storm together would be awesome. I
Yeah.
think that would be just be a great story. And then Denzel Washington's also in that too. Like, come on.
Oh, yeah. Well, because the thing, I think the third one seems like it has more. Again, I think the other thing that hurt Wakanda Forever was the rewatchability. I
Yeah.
think again, it was a movie that you watch and you're like, oh, this is really good, but do I need to go back to the theater and see it again? Whereas Black Panther, the first one, that was a movie. Like, I didn't see it in the theater, but it's the kind of movie that if you see it in the theater, you would be,
It
in,
was
yeah.
great. Yeah.
And so I Wakanda Forever wasn't quite that movie. And so, and again, it's like when I think when the studios spend 250 million, because it's like I know I think it's the Marvels that Wikipedia for whatever reason doesn't just list the actual budget, but they list the budget plus all the advertising. So it says 375 million to make that movie. I think it's
Yikes.
what every movie is. I think really the Marvels was more like 220 million, but then you tack on the advertising, and that's how you get the full budget. And so I think like with these ones like Guardians of the Galaxy and Black Panther, it's like if you spend 250 million, you expect it to do a billion. Like that's the bet. If it makes less than a billion, then it technically doesn't make its money back. Even if that's like a top 10 earner, 850 million seems like a lot, but it's like when you put that much into it, and so I think like when like for example the Deadpool and Wolverine, I think Ryan Reynolds kind of insisted on having a low budget for that because he felt like it would make it a tighter movie. And so that movie, it's like, if that movie had made 850 million, I think Disney Marvel would have been happy with that number because it's like I think it was like 150 million or 180 million to make it. But like, yeah, it's like when they start, because I mean, I have to assume Doomsday is going to be in the 300 millions before they start doing advertising and stuff like that. So it's like they're expecting that one to be and I don't know. Can you have a two billion movies? And I guess you can, right? Because I
I
guess
guess you can. Yeah.
yeah, because it was a Star Wars. Oh no, Star Wars was 2 billion. The first two were $2 billion earners, but not
I
the
think
sequel trilogy.
Rise of
Uh,
Skywalker did like a lot of money.
oh yeah, it was over a billion, right? Like all three of them, I think
Yeah.
were over.
Yeah.
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 So I mean, if you have a $2 billion movies in the same year, that would be, I think that would be kind of crazy. But I guess it is possible, right? Like especially with the current ecosystem that we're in now, the current movie watching environment where people aren't as picky about what they want to go see. Like people are going to more movies, and they're kind of that's a bigger thing now is people going to the movies than it was before.
So I just looked up the budget for Avengers Doomsday. It has a reported production budget of 400 million.
Jesus.
with an additional 300 million estimated for marketing. So $700 million
Right.
total, and it's
So
gonna make
that
that money back.
Yeah, I mean, right, if you figure, right? If that's what they're thinking is they want it to make 2 billion. If they're going to spend that much money on it, then that's the number. Is it's got which is
It, it will have
crazy
to
when you think about.
it will have to make 1.3 billion to 1.5 billion globally to break even.
Right, right. It's crazy to think about that it's got that a movie that they really are planning on this. They are expecting because I mean, what was I guess Infinity War was like 350, I think, right? Or was it 375? I
It was
can't
like
remember.
it was like 300, yeah.
Yeah, when you get into those kind of budgets, I mean, I mean, but if they were concerned about whether or not the gamble is going to pay off, I think it's they can be much more optimistic now. Like I don't, now it's hard to see how it makes less than 2 billion. After unless like if there's another global pandemic or some other reason why people aren't going to the movie theaters, I just don't see how Doomsday doesn't pull in that kind of money considering what Spider-Man's doing.
Especially if it's gonna lead into Secret Wars, like probably the
Yeah.
post credit stuff's gonna probably be epic.
Oh
People are
yeah.
gonna be telling their friends like, "Yeah, I gotta come see this."
Yeah.
It's yeah. The momentum is there. Like
Yeah.
it is. If Doomsday bombs, I will be shocked.
Yeah. No.
I don't think so. I think Dune 3 should move this date. To be honest, I think it should move it like
Right.
2 weeks before.
Yeah.
Um,
Which
because it's gonna get destroyed. You gotta also think of this like Dune 3 has all the IMAX screens, right? They
yeah.
wouldn't give
Yeah.
any to Doomsday. Spider-Man did so well that Christopher Nolan said, "Okay, give Spider-Man some IMAX screens."
Right. Right.
Like
Yeah.
you gotta think about that. Christopher Nolan, who's a very much of a hard ass about things
Right.
like
Right.
that, said Spider-Man is so fucking good. Let's give
Right.
this fucking movie a screen.
Right.
Like,
Right.
come on.
Right. Exactly.
What's Dune 3 gonna happen? Like you gotta tell them like one was gonna be like, we should give them screens. Like this is
Yeah. Well,
killing
so
us.
now that's Warner, right? Dune 3
Yeah,
is Warner.
yeah, Warner,
So
yeah.
I mean, you look at all right. So Supergirl already did. I mean, it didn't make its money back, which
I,
is one of the things that's insane when you think about Kevin Feige with the MCU. I think everybody looks at the Incredible Hulk movie as kind of like the worst earner because that
mhm.
one didn't do so great, and that one was still like it still did like it made its money back at least,
Yeah, yeah.
and so for this movie to like have like the straight budget not make it back to be that bad. And now, I mean, I can't imagine Clayface. I don't know what that's going to do. I mean, it's
I,
going to be in the Halloween area, but
honestly, I think that's gonna do very well
okay, you think all right.
Because the Halloween issue. I think the trailer looks fantastic. I don't even see the trailer to that. It looks phenomenal.
Okay, yes.
To me, I'm going. I would watch that over Supergirl any day.
Right, right, yeah.
I think Warner Bros. Needs to win because Mortal Kombat 2 also bombed.
Right, right, yeah.
So like, I think Clayface will do well. I don't know if it's gonna do like Superman numbers,
Yeah.
but I think it will make his budget back. I don't think it was that expensive to make either.
Right,
Clayface,
yeah.
if I think about it. And they need a win because that Man of Tomorrow next year better be damn
Yeah.
good because
Yeah.
James Gunn might be out of a job if it's not. Um,
Yeah.
and then as we're recording, this Sunday is Lanterns, so hopefully that's a good
Right.
show as well.
Okay, and that's going to be on HBO Max.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Man, this is, it's kind of crazy because it's like Supergirl. It wasn't a bad movie, but you can also, when you're watching it, you're like, man, where's the hook for this? Like where's the thing that's going to get people to watch it? Like Lobo's not quite like Lobo was like a really big person for like comic book fans, like and not just like comic book fans, but like comic book fans who were like going to the flea markets and like the comic book stores and digging through the back issues, like that's like he was kind of a deeper cut DC. I mean, I was a fan, but it's like most people I know that weren't big comic book fans didn't really know who Lobo was. When you compare that to this movie that we were talking about, Spider-Man Brand New Day, people know Punisher outside of
Hmm.
it's they even if you're not like a legit comic book, even if you just like comic books, you just kind of understand the concept of them. Hulk is one that people know even beyond that, right? Hulk is like probably
Right.
like the fourth or fifth biggest. I guess well now Iron Man's up there, but before Iron Man, I think it was Hulk would have been right there with the other big names. and of course the X-Men, Jean Grey, that's just another, it's they took, like I think they did a great job with Yelena Belova, with Florence
Oh
Pugh's
yeah.
character,
Hmm.
because she's only in it for a little bit, and it's like they kind of just tease it enough to just be like, okay, remember her from Thunderbolts? Yeah, she's back here. She's a fun character. Let's watch her interact with Spider-Man. It'll be funny for a couple scenes, but it's not the same as like hanging your hat on her character, like
Right.
it's just enough there for people to get a kick out of it and enjoy it. You didn't even have to necessarily know who she was, right? You just see her there, and she's funny enough on her own that it works. And whereas I think Lobo, I love the fact they had Lobo in Supergirl. I'm a big fan of Lobo, but I think James Gunn was expecting having Lobo in that movie to be the thing that like having John Bernthal in in Brand New Day was for that movie, and the two didn't equal each other.
It's funny because you watch Supergirl, and I remember watching it, and I'm like, why was this even made? Who is this
Hmm.
for? Like,
Right.
why are we not doing Wonder Woman right now? Why are we not
Yes.
making a Batman, another Batman,
Yeah.
or something, a Flash, or Green Arrow, somebody that's not Supergirl? Because Supergirl, yeah, she's I guess a big character, but she's not like a box office draw in any way. Like the actors were fine. I thought Millie Alcock was great. What she was given. Jason Momoa is always great. Um, like you said, Lobo's not a character a lot of people know.
Yeah.
You never introduced him before this,
Right.
so he just pops up like, who is this guy that looks like Gene Simmons from Kiss?
Right.
Um, and the villain was terrible. Like I don't know
Yes.
who the villain even was.
He, he he was only in that series, like so. So it was, he was only in that comic book series that it was based off of. It
like,
was, yeah.
and the sidekick character was just annoying. Like it's like it was like Mad Max Fury Road meets Guardians of the Galaxy. It was like a big like hodgepodge of all these films that I would want to watch. I want to watch those films rather than this.
Exactly right.
It's like this could have been a great like TV series,
Hmm.
but not a movie.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
just
because
and I just feel like James Gunn, like you promised us all this stuff,
yeah.
and you haven't not given us your promise.
No, no, because that is, that comic book that it was based off of is based off of True Grit, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And the thing with True Grit is that True Grit is not about what would have been, Supergirl's character or, Jeff Bridges' character, whoever, it's about, Haley Steinfeld or it's about the young girl that's, and so
Hmm.
it's like he was trying to introduce Supergirl, but in a story that doesn't have Supergirl as the main character. But he was like, they didn't, the problem is that there's not a lot to draw from Supergirl because she's always just been sort of a supporting character to
Right.
Superman. And that's
Hmm.
probably where it should have been, was that she should, like you said, Wonder Woman should have been the movie. That, I think you bring in Wonder Woman, you have her fight Cheetah, you get a really great actor to play Cheetah. I think, again, it's rare. I mean, again, another thing that Spider-Man Brand New Day did, even though Jean Grey isn't technically a supervillain, they work the arc a little bit, so it's she isn't, but not many movies have female supervillains. I think
You're right.
obviously Thor
Yeah.
Ragnarok, right? Kate
Ella.
Blanchett.
Yeah, Ella, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, even the Wonder Woman movie that we got, Wonder Woman 1984 with Cheetah, where we had Kristen Wiig, it was kind of weird because it was like kind of her, but then also kind of Pedro Pascal.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, had they made a Wonder Woman movie, and I mean, to be honest, Billy Alcock would have been great as Cheetah. I think as against whoever they had for one, she would have, But I mean, I like her as Supergirl too. I think she's good there. But Supergirl really is someone that you introduce in the second Superman movie, and or the goal, in the old Superman series, the old Superman franchise, that was supposed to be the third movie. They were supposed to
Right.
introduce Supergirl and
Right.
Brainiac. And I think, yeah, like you said, Supergirl is someone everybody knows. I looked her up on Wikipedia because I wanted to see like what villains they could have used. And she doesn't really have any main villains. They're
No.
all Superman villains. And so, yeah, it just, like you said, it was like, who was the movie made for? I mean, that was the one dud. And then, of course, The Mandalorian was the other dud. And it was kind of like, that was them trying to sandwich a TV series, a season of a TV series into one movie. And so it's like two ideas that were really kind of sauteed in wrong sauce that they weren't horrible. I didn't think either movie was horrible, but it you kind of like you say you're watching and you're like, who is this for, and how is this supposed to make its budget back?
It's for streaming. That's what those fools are for.
Yeah,
They should go straight to like Disney Plus and HBO Max. Now,
yeah,
honestly, like I feel like people are wasting their money going to a theater for that because it doesn't feel like an event. Like even for the
right,
trailers, you go, this is not something worth $30
yeah,
go to a theater for.
yeah,
Um, Star Wars right now is in trouble.
yeah.
Hopefully with Marvel now kind of back on track, they can kind of focus on that. I think the what's this, Starfighter, that one with Ryan Gosling's in the next year.
Yeah.
They say it's an excellent movie. People saw it, so that's why they got the same team for Ghost Rider. So hopefully that brings it back. I hope that does something. But yeah, not every move was a success, unfortunately, this summer.
Right.
Like we talked about Mortal Kombat 2, which I was shocked that did not do better.
Right. Yeah.
But I think it moved its spot from October of last year. It should have stayed in
Yeah.
October of last year. I think it was just in the wrong spot. It came out a week after Product 2, which was destroying everything. And Michael was destroying everything at the same
Michael. Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So
Obsession
Obsession
ended up.
as well
Yeah.
came after that. And yeah, Backrooms came after Obsession.
Yeah.
It was just swallowed up by a bunch of stuff. It is a good movie.
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat 2, but just bad timing.
Yeah.
Now,
Well, and I think,
now they're talking about it, not even trying to make a third one, so that's kind of sad.
yeah. Yeah. Because, I think the thing that kills, I think this is one of the things about the streaming thing that kills these IPs now is that, all of these major IPs are attached to one of the major streamers, right? So like, obviously Mortal Kombat and DC is attached to HBO. Think of Indiana Jones, right, from
Mhm.
2023. We know that's attached to Disney, so it's like, do I need to go see that in the theater? And I think a lot of these IPs are dealing with that, and so you really got to come big if you are going to get people to go out of the house and watch the movie. And I think Daredevil and Deadpool and Wolverine did that. I think Fantastic Four did do that. It's just that, I think Superman cut into it, but because I think, it was like that kind of this domino effect of like Sinners, Jurassic
Yeah,
Park, and Superman that just sort of led to it. And people, I mean, I guess the other thing too is Fantastic Four. I think they were bigger in the early 2000s. I think they got hurt more than the X-Men because the X-Men are just so big.
hmm,
The Fantastic Four really got hurt by the Fox thing. Like
yeah,
Fox never really knew what to do with them. They had the two movies in the 2000s, but then you get that 2015 one, and when that goes bad, because I mean the whole plan was, I think what I had read was that they had that Fantastic Four movie done well, they were going to tie that in with the X-Men and have them cross over with like I think like a Shi'ar or some kind of like big finale that they were planning to do. And once that bombed, they were just like, all right, we're done. And so I think the Fantastic Four is kind of lost out a lot, where we remember the Fantastic Four being big in the 80s and 90s, especially the first Infinity War, right? Like that, the first Infinity
yeah.
Gauntlet
The
series,
comic book, yeah,
right? I mean, Silver Surfer and the Fantastic Four were huge in that book, and now Kevin Feige just goes and makes his own Infinity War without those characters and just crushes it, right? And so it's like the X-Men, at least people they kind of stay in the forefront, but the Fantastic Four have been diminished. And I think he kind of learned that with the movie this last year, that like they've kind of lost a lot of their sort of their popular, or I don't know if popularity, but their notoriety in society. And so they're gonna have to really build that back up if they want to make them into a big franchise.
yeah. I think once they introduced the Avengers stuff, it kind of flipped.
Yeah.
Because the Avengers in the comic book weren't that great of a comic to begin with, but
Right,
once you did the
right.
movies, you bring these like B, C level heroes up,
Yeah.
they become A list. I mean, yeah, the Fantastic Four kind of looks shitty in comparison.
Right.
Um, and every film adaptation's kind of been a mixed bag, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
With the last one being completely terrible
Right.
that they did before the new one.
Yeah.
And then I guess, the whole Kang thing, I think was supposed to be part of that.
Yeah.
And they had to kind of backtrack and put Galactus as the villain,
Yeah.
which I think it made it seem kind of same old for a lot of people. Like, oh, another Thanos like villain
Yeah.
who's like a cosmic villain. So people were kind of like, I went to streaming and watch this.
Yeah.
Um, and I think now with Doomsday, I think hopefully that will help build a group up because from what I heard, Doomsday I think is part of Doom is part of the Reed Richards universe, so
Yeah.
they know each other. and hopefully that will build him up. And Secret Wars has a lot to do with those two characters. So I think hopefully after the whole all this ends, there will be a major player again. But with X-Men now kind of coming in, it's kind of like we're back to the same drawing board where what's the focus going to be? It's going to be on X-Men. That's what
Right.
the popular characters are: Storm, Wolverine, Cyclops, Jean Grey, Gambit, Rogue, Magneto. You know these characters. I think they already said Apocalypse and Sinister are going to be the major villains for the new X-Men stuff, which is like
Yeah.
awesome. So they ready to just cast Emma Frost, fucking Samara Weaving, perfect casting.
Oh, geez. Yeah. Oh, man, that's
Could
gonna be
pick
great.
a better person for that role.
Yeah.
So like they're on a roll. So Fantastic Four really needs to really like be damn good to kind of compete with this because now they're. I guess that's a good thing for Marvel. I guess you have this all these riches you can play with.
Yeah.
Because I guess the Avengers stuff is going to end. I guess after Secret Wars, I don't know what they do. I guess Secret Wars they also introduces Miles Morales as Spider Man as well. So you got all this stuff coming up. It's crazy.
Yeah, because that was the thing that Tom Holland had said was that he didn't want to, right? But the famous lines, he didn't want to play the character
Mm-hmm.
in his service, which is kind of crazy because I grew up with the Spider-Man, the comic book Spider-Man from the late 80s, early 90s, who was in his middle age when he was, he was
Mm-hmm.
in his late 20s, early 30s. I mean, the character had his 30th anniversary in 91. So that's kind of the Spider-Man that I knew. But yeah, they had said that like, because they want Brand New Day to be the start of a second trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea is going to be that second trilogy is going to introduce Miles Morales to take over from Tom
Yeah.
Holland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah. That's why you do the Venom thing in part five. Might as well do it and get big Venom in there.
Yeah.
Do it the right way this time. So
I mean, the smartest move I think that Sony made versus, well, see, I don't know if Fox would have had the same option to bring the X-Men into the MCU early on because I think Disney had kind of identified Fox as a possible acquisition.
mhm.
And so I know one of the things they did with the comics for years was that when they bought Marvel, they were diminishing the X-Men in
Yeah.
favor of the Avengers.
And humans as well.
Exactly. Yeah. And they were pushing that and it never worked quite the same like it did with the Fantastic Four, where they could diminish them and nobody cared. But with the X-Men, people still wanted to read Deadpool. They still wanted to see what Wolverine was up to. Those were characters that were still interesting. And I think that's the thing is like when they bought Fox and they killed Dark Phoenix. I mean, it did barely anything in 2019. Then they also during the pandemic they released New Mutants during the pandemic, and that
Yeah.
died out too because no theaters were open then. So it's like, yeah. But then it was like this thing with Deadpool and Wolverine where they said, oh, you know what? Actually, there's a lot of stuff we can mine from those Fox movies and from from Blade, from the other, from all those movies in the 2000s that we were trying to shun and stay away from and create our own thing. Now we've become so big that we can actually use those things to our advantage. And Deadpool and Wolverine proved it, right? That, hey, look at this. Elektra's in here, Blade, Gambit, who wasn't even in with,
Right.
Chris Evans is playing Human Torch again.
Mhm.
And it worked so well that now it's like, okay, why don't we bring these characters back? Why don't we use some of these characters in these other movies? And instead of trying to diminish them and compete against them, now we can pay homage to them and use them. So I think it's another thing that's going to give Doomsday an advantage is that, people are like, okay, oh, we're going to see James Marsden back as Cyclops. We're going to see, Patrick Stewart back as Professor X. All right, let's see it.
Yeah, like I said, nostalgia is a powerful thing.
Yeah, yeah,
And like you said, you brought all these characters in Deadpool and Wolverine, X-23 as well, which
yeah,
Laura was in there. Who's also they say she's gonna come back for the new X-Men stuff, so that's kind of cool.
yeah.
So and I think she will fit right in. Um, yeah, like I wonder if Wesley Snipes killed the new Blade movie. I kind of feel like he was so popular
Yes.
as the cameo, like Mahershala Ali was probably pissed, like fuck. You wasted all my time trying to make this movie and it never happened.
Yeah.
I honestly don't want to announce Ghost Rider. He's going to be in Ghost Rider, but he said he's not doing it anymore, so that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's one of those things where like Channing Tatum's probably thanking God, like thank you for bringing me as Gab because now I'm in Doomsday, and he's probably
Yes.
going to be in Secret Wars as well.
Hmm.
So that's crazy. And yeah, it's funny like how that works. My thing though with Ryan Reynolds though, like the whole Blake Lively thing,
Yeah.
how that affects him, because that made him look kind of bad. So I wonder if it's gonna like the same thing that happened to Chris Pratt's gonna happen to him in a way. Maybe
You,
less so maybe, but it's still gonna affect him.
I don't know because Ryan Reynolds might be a little. Because yeah, I don't know if it'll be quite the same with Ryan Reynolds versus Chris Pratt because I think one of the things with like the Blake Lively stuff, I think there were a lot of people that were on Blake Lively's side about it and were like, cool, then whereas like yeah, the Chris Pratt stuff, it's hard to say, but um, I mean, I think Marvel did a good job with the Chris Pratt stuff where it was like, when, there's pictures of him hanging out with Ben Shapiro and stuff like that, and they just, yeah, they kind of squashed it quickly. I mean, but yeah, I don't think so. I don't think it's gonna because Ryan Reynolds is still out there. He's still selling Mint Mobile and doing stuff like that.
Mm,
So but I think he had said he wasn't going to be in Doomsday. But you never know with that kind. I mean, I think people.
I don't think so. I don't
Yeah,
think so. He'll
it,
be in Secret Wars for sure.
yeah.
But I don't think Doomsday's in it.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing because it's interesting I think with these kinds of things because the Odyssey I think proved a lot about how what people's mindset is when it comes to movies. Where if the movie's good and the actors in it are good, that one they're not going to care what conservative crackpots think about, right? Like it's
Hmm.
not going to matter to them who's playing who in the movie. They want to go see it, and so I think that part was kind of disproven. This whole go woke go broke thing that conservatives like to say. It's just doesn't. It's always been kind of false, but I think the Odyssey proved it false in a huge way. But then I think kind of on the left side of it, the Odyssey was shot in Western Sahara, which is, it's been under a brutal occupation by Morocco for like 50, 60 years now. But because that's not as well known as like, say, like, it's not like the Odyssey was being shot in like occupied Palestine or something like that,
Right, right, right.
so not enough people really know about that. And I think it wasn't enough for people on the left to be like, oh, I'm going to boycott Odyssey as well because you're shooting in an area that was like and I mean obviously for me as someone who would direct to video movies it's like movies that used to get movies being shot in like apartheid South Africa stuff
Hmm.
like that so it's like how much can I get on the Odyssey for that kind of thing, but I think it also proves though because I think people the left or the right has always painted the left as being like wanting to cancel people for anything, right? They don't, any little thing they'll cancel a movie for, they'll cancel someone for. And I think that also, the Odyssey success also debunks that a little bit. That I think, I think like, for example, with The Flash, I think people were turned off by Ezra Miller and they were like,
Hmm.
okay, we're not going to watch the movie because of that. But the Odyssey didn't really have anything like that going on in it, and I think, but it did have controversy things, things that you could pick at if you're from the left side of the aisle. But it wasn't enough. It wasn't like people are just looking for things to cancel, I guess is what I should say. That this idea that the left is just looking for things to cancel, and they're just overly sensitive and they don't care. I think the Odyssey debunked that as well.
Yeah, I think because they didn't really like highlight the problems.
Right.
You know what I mean, they really it was pretty much we're just making a movie
Yeah.
and we're just trying to tell a good story, try to make a good movie with good actors.
Yeah.
Make it epic, make it an event, make you want to come to IMAX and watch it and pay all this money for it. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just simple movie making. Like that's it's been like that for decades. When they do
Yeah.
like those epics in the '60s, they were probably very problematic back
Right.
then.
Yes, it's probably much more problematic, right?
Right,
There's
right.
probably a lot of people that were getting paid to make those movies, like that kind of thing.
Those animals getting like abused. When you think
Right.
about it, like there was no
Right.
animal
That's
abuse in
right.
this. So like yeah, so yeah, you're right. Like if the movie is really good, that kind of falls out the wayside. Like okay, well, there's issues with this movie, but I'm not gonna take off half a star because of it.
Yeah.
No, it's just a good movie. Like I have more issue with like the obsession where you kind of if people try to figure out who the villain is in the movie. Like if you can't tell me the villain of the movie is, then we have problems.
Right.
That,
Right. Exactly.
that's more of an issue for me. Where it's like, okay, your morals are very out of whack at that point.
Right. Yeah. Because the thing with Obsession, I mean, I haven't seen it yet. I mean, I need to see it.
Okay,
I've got to, it's not,
it's on Peacock. You can
yeah, it's
check
on
it out.
Peacock. Yeah. But I mean, like the I think about one of the big things now with meta glasses is that
Oh,
pickup artist guys use them to make videos and they film women without telling them. But it's this whole thing about like, oh, what can I if I say the right words, if I say like the right combination of words, I can convince this woman to go home with me kind of thing.
yeah,
And it's like obsession is just sort of a heightened, right, like another level of that, where like making a wish, that kind of thing. Yeah, it's interesting how people want to see these movies the way they want to see them sometimes, and I think sometimes you can things are up for interpretation. I don't want to say that like everything people either. Like there's one right way to interpret a movie, but sometimes the movie makers have a clear idea of who the
yes,
bad guy is, and you got to kind of go with that.
yeah. So when I see people say someone other than the person they're talking about, I'm like,
Right,
we can't be friends.
right,
Like,
right,
how, like you're that person because we don't think that's the villain.
right.
And yeah, we have issues. And
Hmm.
I've seen people like that. They go, well, he's just like me. Like, what?
Yeah, right.
No, that's the
Right. Don't
problem.
say, yeah,
That's the
don't
whole
say
point of the
that.
movie. You're an incel.
Yeah, right.
Um,
Don't say that. Yeah,
yeah.
no.
So I've seen like conservative people go, that person was a villain,
Right,
and that's
right,
conservative people. I go,
right,
well, they're seeing something you don't.
right.
So yeah, so that's the litmus test now. Like, okay, well, if you can't see who the villain obsession is, we can't talk.
Yeah. Well, and then you again going completely other end of the spectrum. You watch Spider-Man: Brand New Day, and there's a scene in the movie where um, uh, uh, Spider-Man, Peter Parker and MJ kiss,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we find out after that Jean Grey had taken over her mind,
Hmm.
um, and it's interesting. So you get this moment where he apologizes for kissing her because technically she didn't consent to being kissed, right? That's the reason, and he felt like he needed to do that. Now the thing is, it plays a part in the plot, which is even crazier, right? So it's like you've got them reinforcing consent as an important thing, right? That he shouldn't be kissing somebody who's under the spell of somebody else, or whatever. He just he didn't know, so it wasn't like he was malicious, but he still wanted to tell her that he kissed her, and she didn't have a say in it. And then she's like, "It's okay, I didn't remember it anyway." And he's like, "You didn't remember it? Oh, wait a
Right.
second.
Yeah.
And so that combination of reinforcing that consent is important, that it's a kind of the baseline, and even in a circumstance like that where her mind is being controlled by somebody else and he doesn't know it, he's not really even having any malicious intent when he does it, but still, he still did the right thing and apologized to her for it. And it ends up being a major plot point in the movie where he discovers, oh, that damage control guy was actually a jerk off. I better
Yeah, he
get
lied
over
to me.
there.
Yeah, he lied to me about it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's again kind of reinforcing what you were saying about obsession. It's like almost like they're taking from obsession and they're sort of reinforcing an element from that movie.
That Spider-Man scene is so smart too, because like you say, it's a plot device and it leads into the final act of the movie. But also it just reinforces how Peter Parker's a good guy. That he
Yes,
did that. He didn't have to do that. Because
right.
she didn't remember. But like the fact that he said, I love you this much, I'm gonna tell you that I kissed you while you were under my control. Like that tells me like those two belong together. Like
Yes,
you like, and I think at that point, even though she doesn't remember him, she's kind of like into him. Like, oh,
yeah,
this guy's really nice. Like, I see why my past version of me liked him.
yeah.
So yeah, so I thought that whole scene works on so many levels. Like, it's such a subtle moment, but it's so powerful in that moment. And I remember watching that for the first time, going, "Wow, that's really smart."
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. I think it's the thing with that movie. That thing that impressed me about it so much, and I was trying to think where I put it for my MCU, all time. I
Oof.
feel like it's got to be like top five,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, and it's like it is like moments like that, it's again, it's the Punisher, and they're hanging out the Punisher, and I mean just these moments where like Peter Parker thinks he's so much smarter than the Punisher, and then Punisher's like, no, actually I have the things that you need, for making
Hmm.
your stuff, and she's like, and he's like, why would you have that, then MJ's like, oh, he's making bombs, right, it's like,
Right.
these little moments with everybody in the film, and then I mean the one that really got me, the moment that kind of really was like, I was kind of kind of emotional was when Jean Grey's about to kill the guy from Damage Control, and Peter Parker tries to stop her. And she's like, well, I'm more powerful now. I can get into your mind, because
Yeah.
that's the whole thing is the whole movie. She wasn't able to get into Peter Parker's mind. And he's like, okay, go ahead. You're more than welcome to get into my mind. And then she replaces him on the bed talking
Yeah.
to Aunt
And May.
May.
Yeah.
And suddenly Aunt May is telling her all the things, telling Jean Grey all the things that she's always wanted to be told. And it's such a touching moment, such an amazing moment. But the thing is, that moment is happening while Frank Castle is on a building nearby with a sniper
Hmm.
rifle. And you just know that he's there because you know who the Punisher is. It's like, and just such a, again, such a great moment. And I mean, I think Thunderbolts had some really great moments like that. I think like, when Florence Pugh goes into the void
Void.
and,
Yeah.
I think a lot of that stuff worked really well. This was like that kind of stuff on a whole nother level. Like it was just
It,
even,
it,
yeah,
it worked better here,
yeah,
because it was built to that moment. And then like with the Punisher shoots and Peter takes the bullet for Jean,
yeah,
and
yeah,
you see his face, like, oh my God, what did I do? Like
right,
that's like
right.
that's like my friend. I just shot my friend. I almost killed my
Hmm.
friend. And the fact that she keeps him alive the whole time,
Yes,
which is great, which kind of redeems her. Cause
yes,
I made a mistake and this guy saved me. There's
hmm,
someone out there who actually cares about me.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, like that whole final stuff, and the whole final part I love, like the stuff in the hospital where you can't see Frank being a like human for the first time. Have you seen him?
yes, yes,
Like you go, this is the real Frank Castle. Like he's the guy that's sensitive, who cares about the friends he's with. He puts on the mask, acts like Spider-Man, so Peter can leave and no one
right,
know him.
right,
And I love my honestly my favorite moment of that part is when the little kid sees Peter and he does the web
yes,
motion, and I thought that was really cute.
yeah.
Yeah, I thought the whole thing, the whole movie is just so good. Like like watching the second time, I was like, I really appreciate it more. Like, yeah, this is definitely top five.
Yeah.
I always think like No Way Home's probably a better movie, but I go, no, this is a better movie. This
Yeah.
this this is Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah, to your point, I think that's the thing is out of all of the what is this now? This is, 4 plus 6, 9. This is our ninth Spider-Man movie, I guess. Out of
well, live action, yes, because you have the two
yeah,
Spider-Verse movies, so
that's
that's
right, the two Spider-Verse ones.
technically
That's right.
11.
Yeah.
Just technically
That's right.
11.
Yeah. But yeah, it feels like for the live action ones, this might be like the closest to who we know Peter Parker Spider-Man to be. It's like the way that they and I guess like you said, Tom Holland really wanted this grounded version of
Hmm.
Spider-Man, and it feels like he pulled it all off. Like he got this exactly right. This is exactly what we needed for this movie. It was exactly the Spider-Man that people have been looking for.
Yeah, like he got the character, he gets it,
Yeah.
and I think Tom Holland really is that guy, like a really nice guy who's just wants to make good movies and he got way above his league is Zendaya, like lucky guy, like and how she tells like she saw him, she's like she fell in love with him the moment she saw him.
Yeah.
So that's like you could tell that they're really into each other. So I think that's what helps too. Like it's fun. Like every Peter Parker and love interest has gotten together in real life. Like
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Toby and Kristen, and he had who was Andrew and Emma Stone,
Yes.
and,
Yeah.
and then Zendaya and Tom. That's kind of funny how that worked
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, that is kind of crazy because yeah, it's because you're right. Like it creates this sort of like this chemistry that makes it work
Yeah.
better. And I think that's the other thing too is that like as we're getting kind of further along with these Spider-Man movies where when we had Tobey Maguire, he was kind of our age or maybe a little bit older, and Kirsten Dunst was about our age, so it
Hmm.
kind of like we could kind of relate to those characters. And so it's kind of like Gen X, and then you get millennial Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone, and now we've got this Gen Z Spider-Man.
Hmm.
But it's crazy because for so long Gen Z wasn't coming to the movie theater, and so it was like Gen Z Spider-Man, but for us, right? For like Gen
Hmm.
Xers and
It's for
Boomers.
it's for everybody.
Right, right, exactly. And I think this might be the first one that Gen Z really was coming out for. I think
Yeah.
they're, because I think they had kind of stayed away from the MCU. And it feels like, or maybe they did come out for the other Spider-Man, No Way Home,
They did,
but
yeah.
they definitely came out for this one, and you know this is their Spider-Man, so they should embrace it. But like you said, he's kind of a Spider-Man for everyone. You know, it's not really just one specific generation or group of age group.
And then you gotta thank, Backrooms, you gotta thank Obsession, you
Yeah,
gotta thank Project Hail Mary, Michael, all those Gen Z movies.
yeah, yeah.
And then people came out and watched it. It, it's funny, like you gotta go, is Hollywood finally like getting it right?
Right.
I don't think so. I think they still in their ways, but yeah, I think people looking at streaming going, we're getting the same crap fed to us every month. And these movies feel like we're supposed to be here with our friends and our family to enjoy a communal experience with other people. We're not on TikTok, we're not on Instagram, we're not on Facebook or whatever, and we're just enjoying the movie. Like I saw no phones at all during
Right.
Spider-Man. Everyone
Yeah.
was locked in,
Yeah. Yeah.
gasping, cheering, crying when people crying, um, laughing when the humor worked. Like that's exactly what a movie going experience is supposed to be like.
Yeah. Yeah. So now I didn't catch any of that because everybody was behind me
Right.
with my show, so I didn't get to see anything. But no, but it's a great point because I think to your point about Hollywood learning lessons, because I mean, one of the things, I mean, every movie that I've been to this year, the trailers are almost all the same, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like just take some song from the 70s or 80s or 90s, remix it, isolate the vocals, isolate the drums or whatever, do whatever, this kind of thing. The only trailer I saw that didn't do that was this last time when I went to Spider-Man Brand New Day was Thomas Crown Affair. That was just let's
Yeah.
show Michael B. Jordan in a suit and go for it. And if that doesn't sell the movie, then that's it. But there was no like music kind of thing. There wasn't like um, and I think people go to the movies to see whatever movie that they're going to see, and then they see these trailers and they're like, well, why do I want to see any of these movies? All of these look
Right.
just like every other movie. You're using the same way to sell it, all of that kind of thing. And I think the movies that were really successful this year, other than Project Hail Mary, because I remember that one having trailers all the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it didn't do those same kind of trailers. Like it didn't do, it was a different kind of trailer from what I'm describing. But I mean, you look at Obsession, Backrooms. I didn't see trailers for those. I actually didn't see trailers for Odyssey or Spider-Man at the movies I went to either. But these are all movies that were just made well. It just that it wasn't about like trying to package it with a song and this kind of thing. It's going to be interesting, like this fall or later this year when like the new Hunger Games, like those
Uh,
kinds of things. Are those going to do well? Like I think
I,
you
I
watch.
I I think so.
Yeah, I mean, you see the trailers and you're like, what is this bringing that's anything different? I mean, it's got some names in it or something, but it's like, you can watch Spider-Man and say, okay, I get where this isn't just another, it's not like they're just trying to cash in on an IP here. They're bringing something to the table. And I think that's probably the biggest thing now is that you can't just cash in on IP like you could in 2019. And even then, you really couldn't do it just to that. But if 2023 taught us anything, it's that you've got to have that if you make good movies, people will go out and see it. That's what people care about the most.
I think the IP will help Hunger Games. I also feel like there's not many movies coming out in November.
Yeah,
There's a
that's true.
Thanksgiving movie as well. That's for families, so people are gonna go watch it. I like every single one of those movies, so I
Yeah.
think it'll do well.
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
So,
so like you were talking about the trailers.
yeah.
I think you're right. I think why those films did so well is because not much was shown in the trailers.
Right. Yeah.
Like Project Hail Mary, yes, they had big trailers, but they never showed a puppet
Right.
in
Yeah.
any single one of them. Michael obviously had to show stuff because Michael is Michael.
Yeah.
Prada, the first trailer for Prada was just Meryl Streep and Anne Hathaway. That's all you
Yeah.
needed to, and the song Vogue from the first movie. That's all you.
Right.
That's all you
Right.
needed.
Right.
And you were like, okay, we gotta see this.
Yeah.
It's all together. They're all together. Spider Man didn't show like Jean Grey at all.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah.
You
You had no
know,
idea. Yeah.
right? Backrooms, they just show the rooms. We don't know what was
Yeah.
going on. Obsession, they just show the part where he's in the car asking about the wish. That's all you
Right.
needed to know.
Yes. Right. Right.
Like that's the smartest thing they could have done. Like, don't show too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Surprise
And
people.
and stop trying to pander to us with music that we,
Yes.
like I don't care like Street Fighter 2, I'll go see Street Fighter 2 because I want to see, these characters from a video game that I watched. I don't care about Four Non Blondes remixed, right? Like I don't,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like what is
yeah.
that? I mean, that's not the thing that's gonna sell me on it, So it's like every other movie, do something unique, like the fights are what's gonna sell me. But like you said too, don't give away the whole thing.
Mm,
'Cause I think that's the other thing. Just show me that, like, hey, it's gonna have, the characters that I love. That's maybe all I need.
yeah. I think more trailers should do that.
Yeah.
Um, I think Doomsday was smart with that too. They showed just enough. Like we didn't get a lot of Doom. You know what I'm trying
Right.
to say? Like
Yeah.
that was smart.
Yeah.
Okay, we heard the accent. We saw some clips where he's fighting the Thor,
Yeah.
and other than that, we don't know much about anything else.
Yeah.
Why is Steve there? We don't know. Like that's smart.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I feel like Doom 3. I know more about that movie than I do about Doomsday at this
right.
point.
Well, because the other thing too that the MCU has been expert at is giving people just enough so they can speculate. And then there's this whole ecosystem of YouTubers and
Hmm.
things like that that will just do like 10 minutes on what they think, like, oh, Chris Evans is back because we think Doctor Doom's going to go to hit because he messed with the timeline in
Right.
Endgame, and so Doctor Doom's going to go back and fight him because of that, or even I was speculating. I was saying how, that end scene in Fantastic Four where Franklin Richards touches his face. I was like, well, yeah, you can't have Robert Downey Jr. in your movie and have him have like a scarred face like Doctor Doom has. You gotta, so hey, Franklin Richards can heal his face, and then we've got, kind of like Vanilla Sky, right, where it's like,
Hmm.
Tom Cruise spends most of the movie in a dream world, so we don't have to see his scarred face, like that was my guess, but it's like that's they can build their own momentum properly if they get people guessing about what's coming.
Yeah, so um I think that's what's gonna happen in Secret Wars because I don't know if you read the newer Secret Wars was from 2015.
Yeah.
That's what the movie's pretty much based on.
Oh,
Besides,
okay.
so there's like Simba's gonna be in it from what I read from the '84 one
Mhm.
because you have to tie it in with that because that's a
Right. Yeah.
big moment from that first one. But apparently in the Secret Wars, what happens is Doom kind of creates his own universe,
Yeah.
and he's God Emperor Doom. And he steals Reed Richards' family, so steals his wife, Franklin's his kid, and then Doctor Strange is like his loyal servant. So there's like this whole big thing where he's kind of controlled the universe. And
Okay.
at the end of Secret Wars in the comics, Doom's face is healed.
Right. Right.
So I
Okay.
think that's what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
So yeah, so and Doom has all these people fight each other. That's where Morales comes in because he's from another universe,
Yeah.
and he joins the main universe. So all the universes are merged into one by the end of it. So when we get to Ghost Rider, that'll be one universe.
Yeah.
So you have elements of each universe into one.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
like Hugh Jackman's Wolverine could be in this new universe as Wolverine.
That's good. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I liked it because I think, this was one of the complaints, right, that people had was that the
Right.
multiverse thing
Hmm.
was too all over the place
Right.
and they wanted to reel the multiverse thing back in. And, Kevin Feige, he listens, he knows what people want. And
So
so,
so that's what that we're supposed to do. Like it's gonna reboot it,
yeah.
but not in the way people think a reboot is.
Right.
So
Yeah, like what
yeah.
they say, a soft reboot is what they're
Right.
calling it. Yeah.
Right. So so some characters might be different. Like the X-Men's gonna
Yeah.
be different, obviously, but they'll still be similar enough where you know who they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
So so
Yeah.
I
I'm
think so
excited.
yeah, and I think that's what the MCU needs.
Yeah.
So they're on the right path. I think DC right now it needs help.
Well, and so this is the question, right? Is that James Gunn, he's got to hit one out of the park next year, right? With Man of Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah.
And he the thing is, I guess, is that yeah, I mean there's two things I guess that could hurt him. One is a Star Wars movie that like you say
Hmm.
could be really good, but also I think the thing now for everybody that's making movies is what is going to be, the sinners or the obsession that nobody's expecting next year that's going to come out and blow doors. And the question is going to be, are you going to be Spider-Man, right, where you can ride the wave to, 1.6 billion in the first 8 days or 9 days or whatever? Or are you going to be Supergirl where you just get run over, and And so, yeah, that's the question for Man of Tomorrow is like, one, where is it going to be placed? But also, yeah, is it possible that, there's going to be an Obsession or Sinners next year that cuts in to the gate? And if it only brings in like a $500 million, I mean, what did the last one do? Like 600 million, I think.
600, yeah.
Yeah, if it doesn't do that well, I mean, the other thing was James Gunn said the reason why Superman did poorly was because international markets didn't want to watch it. International markets are doing bigger for Spider-Man than domestically.
Hmm.
So it's not just that people hate Americans. That's not the only reason why that movie didn't do well because they hate America. I mean, yeah, I guess technically Tom Holland is a Brit, but and I think international audience was big on the Odyssey as well, and so
Hmm.
that's just a big U.S. Hollywood movie. So yeah, yes, the world is not fond of Americans right now, but that's not why people didn't want to see Superman. They just they use their money elsewhere on things, and so yeah, so it's not a slam dunk. It's not the slam dunk that I think they thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I'm checking what's coming out around that time of Man Tomorrow. They got some competition.
Oh, do they? Yeah,
So
yeah.
like it's coming out in July of next year. But before that, you have Beyond the Spider-Verse, the last one.
Oh, yeah,
So that's been people were waiting for that.
yeah. Oh, yeah,
Um,
yeah,
the Ocean's prequel, Ocean's 11 prequel. Shrek 5 comes I think 2 weeks before that.
yeah.
That's gonna be major. And then after Man of Tomorrow from Warner Brothers, you get Minecraft movie 2.
Oh, wow. Wow. So I mean, I could
So
see Ocean's 11 prequel doing like Devil Wears Prada.
right,
You and then, like you said, Minecraft sequel. I mean, what did Minecraft? That almost made a billion.
they almost made a billion. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, man.
And
That's
then the week after Minecraft is A Quiet Place Part 3.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so it's major stuff coming up.
So yeah, and again, these are just the ones that you're seeing that are already on the slate. There could be something that comes out in May or June that is like
It's amazing.
Obsession that, you know, causes a domino effect or something like we saw this year. That's yeah. Because wasn't it, yeah, July was last year was Superman was July, right? And
Yes, yes, yeah.
yeah, and I think that, again, Sinners was in June, I
March,
think, right? Or
March,
March.
it
That's
was
right, March.
March.
Yeah, because I was trying to think, but it lasted, right? It kind of because I was trying to think how the timeline played. Because I just remember Jurassic Park really cutting into Superman. Like when I went to go see Superman, everybody in line ahead of me and behind me were paying for Jurassic Park. And then when I went to see Fantastic Four, it was the same thing. Only it was Superman. People were
It was pretty much every week had like a big blockbuster, which
yeah,
kind of they all ate each other up, unfortunately.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So
because
yeah,
even
it's
Jurassic World didn't make a billion either. That usually does
right.
make $1 billion, and I mean it was an okay movie, but
Yeah.
people expected it to do better.
Yeah. I mean, it did do better than the three Marvel movies
Yeah, it
and
did. Yeah,
Superman.
it did.
So
Yeah.
it did better than those movies did, but you're right. Like it's still, last year I think it was cartoons that were like the big ones, which
Hmm.
cartoons always, they're always, it's like the animated movies, you know those are going to get you, billion, if you've got like a big one because parents, they're just looking for things to do with their kids and, um, it's easier to take the kids to a movie like that and just kind of know that you're going to kill 2 hours and they're going to have they're going to run them up the aisles or whatever, do whatever the kids do when they go to some of those movies. But yeah, those movies just seem like they're always going to work. And it's the fact that you've got Spider-Man outdoing Toy Story 5, I think. I don't know if I would have had that necessarily. You know,
Crazy,
yeah.
crazy. Yeah, we talk about next May. May has Legend of Zelda and Star Wars Starfighter. So
Yeah. See, the Star Wars one, I think, is the one. And I think so, I don't know though. It's such a weird thing because, the pre Spider-Man Odyssey, whatever, pre 2026, kind of the post-pandemic and through 2025, people were picking one or two movies to go see. There weren't, like the bigger audiences, they were kind of looking like at what movie I'm going, which of these ones. And I think it's, again, okay, well, I'm going to go see Superman. I'm not going to go see Fantastic Four. It was that kind of thing. I think this year changed it. I think this year people aren't saying like, oh, I'm only going to go to this many movies. People are now saying like, oh, what are we doing Friday night? Let's go see, what's a movie we haven't seen yet, which that's an attitude that hasn't existed since before the pandemic. And so it's possible that maybe next year that the Superman does well because people are going to more movies overall next year. On the other hand, I mean, it could get steamrolled like Supergirl did.
It'll be interesting to see how next year plays out.
Yeah.
Because like this, like I'm trying to figure out like why people all of a sudden just decide is like let's go to a movie theater
Yeah.
after all these years. Like because the economy's not that great either. So
Right. Yeah.
maybe subscription services, maybe A-list and the Regal, all that stuff is kind of helping that out. I don't know. Maybe streaming just got so bad that people just say like, okay, I'm just gonna go to a theater.
I wonder too if, from a price standpoint, because sporting events have gotten to be really expensive,
Yeah,
and even like minor league
concerts
concerts.
too.
Oh, the
Yeah,
concerts are even worse. That's right,
yeah,
concerts. Right, because a bunch of bands had to cancel this year because nobody was buying tickets. Restaurants are expensive, and so now the movie theater, what used to be, like absurd, if you think about it, right? Like if you go with if two people go together and they share a large popcorn and they each have a large drink, that's actually not too bad compared to other things that people could be doing. So I wonder if that's what it is too. Is I wonder if with the way the economy is now, if everything else has gotten so expensive that they've made going to the movies not as bad as they used to be.
yeah. Yeah, you're probably right. I also think it's just social media too. Probably people are just watching these trailers. They're not showing that much, and then people just are talking about it. And it's become like water cooler talk again, and people just want to go see it and be part of something. Maybe I don't know.
Well, because that's another piece of it.
Also the weather too. You know, people want to go to
Yes.
air conditioner
Yeah, it's been really
theater.
hot this summer. Yeah. So
Yeah,
what? Who's going to do something outside when you can go
right,
inside?
right.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
could be a lot of factors going on. I'm just glad it's happening. I'm just glad
Yeah.
people are going to theater because I've never seen theater this full in a long time. Because every
No,
time I go, I
no.
see kids, I see like teenagers, like what's going on?
Right, right. Yeah. I haven't, because again, I go to those Saturday or Sunday morning matinees. So generally they're not crowded at all.
And they're full
And
now.
yeah, I mean, Spider-Man was jammed. I think it was everything except for those, four or five closest rows, which I had to sit in I was in row D, I guess is that, so
Okay.
I was down there. But like when I went and saw Mandalorian, that was like maybe like a quarter full. But the thing about Mandalorian that I thought was a good sign, and it turned out it didn't matter, was that I saw people of all ages going to Mandalorian, and I thought,
Mm.
okay, well, yeah, so it seems like everybody's going to see this. This could be good, and I thought it was a good enough movie. But then I looked at the numbers, and I think it did like 100 million its first week, and it's like, it's crazy how that is. Like right away, like the first week, what this thing's going to do because most movies don't do better the second week. I mean, Obsession did,
And
some of them like
yeah,
that will do, but
yeah.
most of the time they don't. And so, which I think is again what makes Spider-Man so crazy is that it's just pulling in these numbers week after week.
I honestly I think we have to kind of give the success to probably Tom Holland and Zendaya. Honestly,
Yeah,
I feel like they're just movie stars. Like people
yeah,
just gravitate towards them. I think Zendaya's in so many movies this year.
yeah,
Like she's in the Dune 3. It's
yeah,
crazy. Like and Robert Pattinson also is like in Dune 3. So it's kind of
yeah.
like all these actors, like it's like the same seven actors in every movie.
Right,
It's
right.
kind of funny.
Because
Um,
three of them were in the Odyssey as well. I mean
right.
that's the thing too is like Zendaya, depending on how Dune 3 goes, I mean she could potentially be the next Zoe Saldana, right? Where
Hmm.
I mean with Zoe Saldana, I mean it's like a question of like whether whenever they re-release the Avatar movies or they re-release the Endgame movies, it's like whichever one becomes the highest grosser of all time, it doesn't matter because she was in either one. She's but I mean, this is kind of like a year, like whether Zendaya or John Bernthal or Tom Holland, where it's like that's a Zoe Saldana kind of year, right? Where you've got Odyssey making 1 billion, Spider-Man making 1 billion. That's kind of what her year would be, where she'd have a Marvel movie that would make 1 billion, and then she'd have whatever it was that she was, what other IP that she was in, Star Trek movie or Avatar or something like
Hmm.
that. Yeah, I mean that could be where Zendaya is headed, which not everybody thinks of Zoe Saldana like that, but I mean she's I would say, when you look at like who's got I mean, I guess probably Robert Downey Jr. or Chris Evans have like the largest gross of all time, but she's got to be up there in terms of, movies that she's made that have made billions of dollars. She's up there now. Zendaya is kind of in that category.
I guess like Tom Holland's also up there. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's crazy.
yeah,
Um, but you also think about Avatar, like how that's kind of fallen.
yeah,
I mean, so it's kind of like how Spider-Man has lasted this long and got even more popular. It's kind of crazy. Like this one character has been around for so long,
yeah.
and I feel like that's the only character Marvel knows not to screw up.
Right,
Because even
right.
X-Men they screwed up.
Yes,
So it's like Spider-Man they get right every time.
yeah,
So and honestly I think it's just 'cause the people who are part of those movies just care about the
yeah,
character. So I think that's what helps.
yeah. Yeah, I think between Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield and then now Tom Holland. It's like when they play Spider-Man, it's like they're really excited to play Spider-Man. It's like
Yeah, you can tell. Yeah.
yeah, and again, Spider-Man's got a great villains gallery.
hmm
So that's another piece that you can always have really great villains. I mean, God, that second Tom Holland one with Jake Gyllenhaal
Oh,
as Mysterio.
Mysterio.
Oh,
Yeah.
what a fantastic job he did there. I loved that. I was not expecting that when I watched that one. That for him to be that good, and he was, because. That was like the thing with the first three movies was it was just like, okay, who's the evil scientist, right? That's gonna
hmm
fight. Oh, okay, well, it's the Green Goblin, and it's Octopus, and then of course they have to do the Black Spider-Man, you have to do Venom in that one. But it's like they're kind of pulling different villains for these Tom Holland ones, but like really making them work in different ways. So yeah, it's this was I think this is probably since obviously since Deadpool and Wolverine I haven't been this excited about going to see a Marvel movie, but yeah, it's been a long time since we've had one like this.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for Doomsday. I wasn't excited before, I'll be honest with you. I was kind of like, okay, I'll watch it,
Yeah.
but I don't know if this movie's gonna be good. But now I'm like, you know what? If even if it's not good, I'm here for it.
Right, exactly. Exactly, I agree. Yeah, so I guess it's time to get into our Dolph movie that we're going to talk about this time, Silent Trigger. So, Freddie, had you seen this one before?
No, I have not.
So I saw it. I guess I looked at because I saw the review I did was in 2007. So it would have been like it was May of 2007. So it was right when I started my site. So that means I probably watched it in '06. So it'd been about 20 years since I had seen it myself. So it was almost like watching it new. There's a few things I remembered, like Christopher Heyerdahl getting beat up by Dolph. That's something I remember. But most of it was kind of new for me as well.
Yeah, it's funny because I researched this before I watched it, so I'm on Letterboxd to see what like just kind of get a vibe of what the scores are. So
Yeah.
in what respect, and I'm seeing a lot of like these high scores. I'm like 4 out of 5, 3.5 out of 5. I'm like, is this movie really that good? I'm being trolled.
Right.
Um, so then I watch and I'm like, this movie's actually very good.
Right. Right.
I
Yes.
was very pleasantly surprised. I was like into it. Like I was like trying to cook at the same time. Like I'm getting annoyed by the cooking. I'm like, oh, I'm really invested in the story. What's going on?
The thing about this one for me, I noticed because my review of it was I said it was like it had too many dead spots, it was boring and stuff like that.
Okay.
And then I watched it this time around, and I think this movie might be the opposite of The Minion, where The Minion is better to watch in a group where you can kind of joke about what you're seeing with other people. Whereas I saw Silent Trigger in a group, and I think watching it in a group, everybody started to get bored. But watching it by myself, I was like, this is actually pretty stylish. It's kind of, Russell Mulcahy is a music video director. He kind of brings that sensibility to it. I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, now I have it number 40 on my Dolph list. And I was trying to think of what I would move it above to, move it up on the list. Cause I was like, it can't be that low. Cause I really enjoyed this, but yeah, so it's one of those things, I guess, 40 something Matt appreciated this more than 20 something Matt did.
Yeah, I don't know what it was about this movie. I just thought, yeah, like you said, it was very stylish. It felt very, professionally done. Like it was like the story was. I was invested in the story with the characters. I thought they had good chemistry. Dolphin, the actress who plays his spotter,
Yeah.
Gina
Gina Bellman.
Bellman. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I thought they had great chemistry together. Like you could totally believe they're into each other in this movie. I like the whole like it's such a simple premise that it doesn't have that many characters at all in it, like maybe four main characters, and it's just like so simple, but it works so well because of it. Like you didn't have to do a whole lot for me to be like into this, um, to know what the story was. I love the use of the flashbacks. I think that fleshed out a lot of the movie. Um, I thought the villains were interesting, especially one in particular. I guess we'll talk about him eventually.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, the special effects, the squibs, a lot of squibs in this
Yeah.
movie. I just thought it was done very well. Like I was like for a directed video, I was surprised that this could have got a theatrical release. I thought,
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's directed by Russell Mulcahy, who
right? Yeah,
you
big
know,
director.
yeah. And it's interesting because, obviously, I mean his big one is Highlander.
Kind of right.
But also, I guess I forgot he also did one of the Resident Evils. He did Resident Evil.
Just the extension, yeah, the third one.
Yeah. But he also did so many music videos, and
Hmm.
this felt like it had like a music video sensibility.
Very Duran Duran.
Yes, right. Very Duran Duran, and like the style, and then like the dialogue felt like, like when you think of like Rush by Paula Abdul, right? Where
Hmm.
there's that scene when the during the string,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, where her and Keanu Reeves are acting out a scene from Rebel Without a Cause,
Ross. Yeah,
Yeah, and like the way the dialogue went there was kind of similar, where it felt like the dialogue between Gina Bellman and Dolph Lundgren was almost like that same feeling of like you're watching a music video, the music has slowed down or it's gotten quieter, and now these two characters are just going to talk about something before the music kicks back in. But they were good at it, like it worked in that way.
hmm yeah. This is one film where I felt like Dolph Lundgren actually cared about being in.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's like
yeah,
you can tell he's totally like invested in what's going on, and I mean he's playing Dolph Lundgren,
right.
but it's a good version of Dolph Lundgren
Yeah,
where like
yeah,
he's like a sex symbol in this. Like it's very interesting, because that's not usually his aesthetic at all. But here, like you go, I can see why women would want him.
right,
You know
right.
what I mean?
What, and especially Gina Bellman's character, because you need to buy that, right?
Oh,
You need
she's tall. Like you could, the way she looks at him, and every scene is like, yeah, this she wants him.
Right, right. And like the thing with Gina Bellman's performance, it felt like she's like the video vixen or the woman in
Hmm.
in the
Yeah,
music video,
yeah,
except that she can do lines and she can act, like she's not just there to look pretty, but and look stylish and all that, like half the time her hair's wet and she's kind of just, flipping it around, and she's sort of like, got this look to her. But then she's delivering lines, she's in delivering them in this very stylish way as well. It's like she got exactly what Mulcahy was going for, and she just went with it.
yeah. I thought she was great. I love the scene where she talks to one of the guards. And she's kind of like talking in a very like seductive voice to
Yes.
get him to go away, which I thought was very like her. Show a lot of personality. Like it's not just
Yeah.
like a beautiful woman just trying to act. Like you could tell like she knows who her character is,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
she's playing up to her looks. She's playing up to her personality. She's playing up to her intelligence in the situation. I thought, yeah, just a very not a whole lot of dialogue, but it was very smartly written
Yeah. Yeah. It's all
with
true.
what they
I'll,
with
I'll
what
do.
they were done with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll do a quick synopsis before we get too far because there's a lot of stuff to bring up in this. So the basic premise is that Dolph is a sniper and Gina
Mm-hmm.
Bellman is his spotter. And sometime in the past, they're in a third world country, maybe in Eastern Europe or something, and he's supposed to shoot somebody, but either he kind of he hesitates because there's a baby in the person's hand, so he doesn't want to shoot.
Right.
But then also a helicopter shows up and starts shooting at them. They escape. He blows the helicopter up. He and Bellman escape. But then at the same time, we're getting the present day where Dolph is on in this big skyscraper that's been unfinished and probably won't be finished. And he's supposed to shoot somebody from the top of this skyscraper. And it turns out his spotter is Bellman again. And so
Yeah.
they're kind of going through this history through flashbacks while they're dealing with this situation. At the same time, you've got Chris Heyerdahl, who I remember him from Chronicles of Riddick, where
Mm-hmm.
I think the baddie in that movie, I can't remember the actor's name, Colin Fiore, right? Is the necromancer or whatever takes Chris Heyerdahl's soul early in the movie, and so
I know him man from Supernatural.
yeah, that's right. He was a
He was
supernatural as well.
Alistair. He was
Yeah,
Alistair. Yeah.
that's right. Yeah. So he's been around. He's done his share of stuff. He is this security guard who doesn't like to do his job, doesn't care, and drinks on the job and whatever. And when he sees Gina Bellman comes into the building pretending that she has to do work on the computers in the penthouse suite. And he's essentially trying to assault her on multiple occasions. And, she's rebuffing him different ways, either putting a gun to his head, that kind of thing. But then he has a new coworker. The actor is Conrad Dunn. And so this new coworker is there, and he seems to be a little bit more earnest about wanting to do a good job. And we find out later that he might be involved in this in a different way. If you go to the IMDb page and look up the movie before you watch it, you find out who he is.
Did they spoil it already?
They spoil it. They
Oh,
spoil his
wow.
character in IMDb. So maybe if you are watching this and you haven't seen it, maybe you should. I guess we're technically spoiling it too by telling people. I mean, it's a 30-year-old movie, so I guess
Yeah.
I guess it could be spoiled. But yeah, but then, so of course all these characters are kind of coming to a head, and you get to the end of the movie where Dolph is about to do this last job and shoot this person who's driving by the highway near this big skyscraper. And it's a question of, will he do the last job or not? And if he doesn't, what will the consequences be? But yeah, like you said, Freddie, you enjoyed this one.
I did a lot, yeah, more than I thought I would. I just felt like it was just a good movie. The action was good, the dialogue was good. I thought like I said, the chemistry between the two leads were good. I thought the villains were good. The twist, I didn't know about the twist at the end
Yeah,
with the guard. I was like, oh shit, okay,
yeah,
that makes sense. I love the building being abandoned. I think that was very cool that they used an actual abandoned building for that movie.
yeah,
Um, Very dangerous, I can imagine. A lot of like, I thought the elevator shots were interesting.
yeah.
Um, a lot of squibs. Like the squibs look good. I thought the special effects for what they were look good. Um, a lot of like it's very sexual in a lot of ways. Consensual and non-consensual.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I feel like Dolph was very invested. It's the first time I ever saw a Dolph movie where I felt like he was like a sex symbol for
Right.
women. He's a very this action guy. Like it felt like very like John Claude Van Damme to me, because John Claude Van Damme for me was like very much a sex symbol in his action movies. And you could tell like the women wanted him.
Right.
Here like with Dolph Lundgren, you never really got that until this movie. I said, well, okay, he's like a love interest in here. It's like a romance. Like there's like a moment where they're talking. It felt like Rescue Diaries. I'm like, what am I watching? It was shot that way too. Like well, this is like very like Cinemax.
Right.
But I didn't mind that. I liked it. I was like, this is very 90s. It fits the aesthetic of the movie. I'm okay with it.
Well, because I think the thing with Russell Mulcahy is, being a music video director, and like you said, Duran Duran. I mean, that's his,
Mm,
I mean, he's Rio, I think, right? And
yeah, the whole album.
Unbreakable.
Yeah, real album. Yeah.
Yeah, and he directed, I'm Still Standing, right? Elton John, like,
He did beat it Betty Davis eyes. Yeah.
yes, yes, so many big ones, and this was kind of the first movie where it really, I mean, Highlander has some elements of it where you feel like you're watching a music video, but this really feels like that, and
Mm,
but also it feels like a music video not from 1996, but like even though it looks modern, the shooting style it felt like a late 80s, early
yeah.
90s music
Yeah.
video.
Yeah.
And like you said, Gina Bellman is really great.
Hmm.
Opposite Dolph, I mean, she's kind of like sultry in every line that she has, and it's like she really gets what Russell Mulcahy's going for there. So, I mean, I think like you said, the one piece of it that I would say that makes it a little bit of a tougher movie if you're watching it, depending on who you're watching it with, is the fact that Heyerdahl first he gets rebuffed by Gina Bellman, then he comes back up and he assaults her again, and then it gets very close to where he's
Yeah. Yeah.
and Dolph comes in and saves the day. But I think for people that are triggered by that kind of thing, because it gets so close, even though it doesn't go fully there, that can be a bit rough. And I kind of felt like I mean I get. It almost felt like Mulcahy was committing to the bit too much. Like he wanted this darker kind of thing as well. And it was like, yeah, I don't know that you needed to go that far with it. I think he also liked the silhouette of Bellman. So her character was wearing a leather vest
That's
with
yeah.
like leggings, and then she had a skirt over the leggings.
Hmm.
And so then when he rips the skirt off, she's just got the leggings on. And I think he liked that silhouette. And I guess in the 90s, that was not a look that, nowadays it's like you go to any grocery store and most of the women you see are going to just be wearing leggings, it's a common outfit now. But back then it was kind of like, oh, maybe you should put a skirt over or have your shirt be longer or something. And I think he liked that silhouette of her just wearing leggings like that. But it was like, I think he could have found another way for her to be just in the leggings. I don't know if he needed to have hair doll rip her skirt off, but
It was very like Michael Bay
yeah.
kind of. I felt. Yeah, I agree with that, but I think they kind of wanted to make her sexy though, like a tough, sexy
Yeah.
character. Would you understand why Haruto will want her because she's very like seductive, and she kind of, but I love the Haruto character because I felt like you need a real bad villain because I feel like there was no real villain, like a really seen villain because he doesn't have, I guess, a guy in charge that's trying to kill both of them, but you never really see him. So with Haruto, I felt like you needed that great, crazy, drug addicted, misogynistic guy who also contrasts with the other guard who's way more grounded and subdued. Even when he becomes the villain at the end, he's still kind of grounded and subdued. Yeah, it was an interesting portrayal. I would say his look was interesting, the mullet.
Yes.
I feel like he's definitely a fan of Morgan Wallen if he was still alive today. Um,
Right.
it was very much like, yeah, this is very much definitely. I saw him on, yeah, this is a guy who would attempt to assault a woman just because she looks good,
Yeah.
and she rebuffs him over and over again. He guy feels like I have to be the man here and just take this woman for myself.
Well, because that's the thing, right? Is that Heyerdahl's character is really taking one for the team, and you really have to be committed to being an actor and taking a different, whatever part that
Hmm.
because his character, like you said, he's really like it's like rage bait in that character.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
when you see him, we get introduced to him when the new guy shows up with a pizza, and Heyerdahl has a shotgun and pulls the shotgun and cocks it behind him, and is like has him at gunpoint. And then the guy turns around and sees that it's Heyerdahl, but he's like obviously like anybody, he'd be freaked out, And Heyerdahl's like, "Oh, I'm just trying to mix things up, like while it's getting bored." He's like, it's not ever going to get that boring for me, Like this is you don't need to be doing, so we already don't like Heyerdahl, right? He's already
hmm
like from the bat. But then it's like when you have a character that's that bad, right? You want to see him, get some kind of comeuppance. And the comeuppance he gets is Dolph just beats the crap out of him and then handcuffs him to a dirty toilet. So that's already bad enough. And then he breaks the toilet out of the off the thing, and he carries the thing down however many flights of stairs from the
Oh my
penthouse to
God.
the bottom. He's carrying a toilet, and he gets that toilet all the way downstairs, and he's like, "Hey, I'm calling the police." And that's when our guy reveals himself that
Yeah.
and so now he gets blown away for that. It's like, man, like he earned his money playing that part because it's not a likable character. We want to see him get pretty much everything he gets. To be that kind of a character, to be that kind of a heel or jerk off in a movie, you really got to take one for the team there.
I kind of wish she had done it to him though,
Yes.
but I understand why they did because they needed that twist. But yeah, I feel like she earned that
Yes.
vengeance against him because
Yes.
he pretty much was close to like sexually assaulting her,
Yeah.
like very close until Dolph came in and stops him. But that whole fight scene between him and Dolph felt very Die Hard to me
Yes.
also, which I liked. I liked the walls and the elevator stuff. I thought that was shot very well. Um, yeah, this is a very nice looking movie. I just thought it was just very well directed, well made for what it was. I was very surprised, like how good this was.
Yeah, to be frank, I was too. So what I was thinking when I picked this one is one, it was coming up on YouTube, on Tubi a lot, which is
Mm,
kind of a new because it wasn't on Tubi before. I had cleaned up the review of this, but I wasn't able to get images from the cleaned up review. Now Tubi, I can get images from Tubi, so I might do that. I might add new images. But essentially, the only two images I have on the review that I did in '07 is Chris Heyerdahl handcuffed to the toilet. and then the scene of him with his shirt off and the tattoos of spiders all over his
Oh
back.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
What a scene that was.
Exactly. So, yeah. So to give people an idea, like Haredale's character isn't just drinking beer; he's doing coke the whole
Okay.
time. And I
Yeah.
guess the mix of coke and beer is causing him to see spiders. And so at one point he actually hallucinates spiders, but
Hmm.
before that he's like sitting and he takes his shirt off and he gets tattoos of spiders all over him, and he's showing the guard, his fellow guard, that. So yeah, those are my two screens. I could probably get more screens, but I hadn't seen it in a while, and I was thinking like, okay, there's probably some good stuff to talk about because Russell Mulcahy directed it, and we're both fans of '80s music. There's a lot of videos that he directed, that kind of thing. So when I was watching it, I was like, wow, this is better than I remember. I think it just might have been that I watched it in a large group. It was like 4 or 5 of us, I think, that were watching it, and people just got bored, and I probably should go back to some of those other ones that we were bored by. And again, the same thing is that the Minion was the exact opposite. The Minion, I watched the Minion for when you were on the last time, and I was like, boy, this, I've got this one up really high for a Dolph movie, and I don't really remember it being this good.
Yeah. I feel like there's a movie that's you should watch by yourself or with one other person maybe, because it's a very quiet movie in a lot of ways, like very like
Yeah.
grounded and quiet. I don't think like this is like a beer and popcorn movie at all. It's very like dramatic in a lot of ways. And like romance, like it's a very different Dolph Lundgren movie. I felt like that's probably why I liked it. It was very like out of character for him. Like he's usually very typecast. I thought this was the opposite. Like he was playing different strengths for him. He was really acting here. I was convinced like okay, he's really like trying to be a good actor here. And I liked it. I liked the guy with the performances. I think I said Michael Bay, a very lesser Michael Bay. I kind of like that too. It felt very 90s, and I like that. And I like the fact that it looked like a music video, like you said. I like a lot of the lighting was very well used. I think there's a moment where Dolph behind like these curtains, and the guards trying to investigate through the building. It's maybe when Dolph first comes into the building, and he takes the cameras off. It's like thunder and lightning all over the place. So he's hiding behind curtains, and you see the lightning strike. And you just see him in the silhouette, and then the guard turns, and you don't see him at all. I thought that was very like well directed. Um, like I said, this could have been theatrical for me. I thought like you gotta put this maybe like a limited theaters, and probably would have got some money for it. Um,
I
but I
I
don't know
wonder
if
if that was the plan for it.
I don't know if his star power was that high
Yeah.
in
It
'96.
That may have been the plan for it, though. It's possible with something like that. It's interesting because he does, Peacekeeper, which we've talked about. That's the
Hmm.
one that comes after this,
Yeah.
and then Blackjack, which was supposed to be a TV series.
Okay.
It doesn't work out for him. But yeah, he did Johnny Mnemonic in '95.
Right.
So, and
Right.
it was a very small part there. So I think he was still kind of trying to trying to see if maybe he could find something that would get him into the big screen. He did another one called Hidden Assassin between Johnny Mnemonic and Silent Trigger. That's kind of again, it's one that I considered a dud in the past. I probably need to revisit that one too, see if it's still a dud. But it is interesting. Going into the 2000s, I think there was still a sense. '96, he was still close enough to, I mean, he was 5 years away from Showdown Little Tokyo, but
Hmm.
he was less than 10 years away from Masters of the Universe. And so,
Right.
I think that's probably one of the things with his career is that he probably thought at some point there was still a chance, that something would catch. And unfortunately, it wasn't until 2010 with the Expendables that he had that thing that finally caught. But, this was probably a one that he was selecting that he thought, okay, this could be something that um, maybe takes off and probably whatever reason I think probably the biggest reason probably why it didn't work is that when you look at the cover you see Dolph with this big gun and these big bullets and you think,
Oh.
oh, he's just going to be this badass going around, and then you watch it and it's like, no, like you said, it's this very quiet movie. It's very uh, slim down. At the very end of the movie where everybody's attacking Dolph and Gina Bellman, that's like the most noise in the movie. I had to
Right.
kind of turn it
Yeah.
down when it got to that point because I was so used to hearing, Gina Bellman, with these kind of sultry tones say things to Dolph, and Dolph kind of just respond in his Dolph monotone. And suddenly you've got these like shock troops coming through, and it's like, oh, okay, I gotta turn this down. I think that's probably another piece of it is that, the movie was they didn't know how to market this movie after they made it, and which is kind of too bad because I think you said to your point, like it's a good movie and it's one that people should watch, and it's just a matter of how they could get the word out about this.
Yeah, I didn't think of it that way. You're right. Also, I think for like action stars in 1996 probably weren't as big because like Stallone was
Yeah,
struggling, Schwarzenegger was
yeah,
struggling, Van Damme was still making movies, but it was like not as popular as he was.
right.
So I feel like tastes were changing probably at that point. Um, yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame because I feel like I've seen a few of his movies, and I feel like this is one of his better movies, Dolph Lundgren. I feel like just because the acting, I love like you're right. Like, how do you market this? Is it an action movie? Is it a drama? Is it a there's a lot of romance in it too? Like the ending's pretty much Casablanca. If you really think about it.
Right. Yes.
So it's like it's a lot of things at once, and like yeah, you're right. Like, how do you market it with that cover, especially like he's not really a total badass in the movie. He's pretty much a very quiet guy who doesn't want to do any violence, to be honest.
Yeah.
Until he's forced to. So it's yeah, it's a struggle. Yeah, '96 was also like when horror started coming back too, so it was kind of like tough. The new generation was kind of like millennials and Gen X were kind of like waiting for something different at that point. So I don't know.
Well, yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah,
It's good though.
especially like you said, like horror both in the movie theaters and indie movies also were getting bigger,
Yeah,
but
some
like you said,
clerks and stuff like that. Yeah,
yeah, and also I
yeah.
think in the direct to video world, Blockbuster's starting to get bigger, and
Hmm.
so you are getting to that point where, like you said, horror was becoming bigger. I think also in the direct to video world. I know thinking about 1996 for myself. Yeah, my friends and I were renting horror from the video store more than we were renting action movies, and so it's like things like Henenlotter had like Brain Damaged, things like
Hmm.
that. Blood Diner was one we would have rented at that time, even though it came out in '92. But there was a lot of, especially a lot of low budget horror comedy that my friends would love that kind of stuff. But yeah, and then again you get into like the 2000s, and it hadn't happened for Dolph yet, getting the big screen. And by the time the 2000s come, now the big names are coming down to direct to video, right? Like Van Damme, Seagal, those.
Yeah, yeah.
So, because you make a great point, like Van Damme, I think the next year, '97, he did Double Team, which
Children's
was
team. Yeah.
yeah, is in the theater, but
Hmm.
that did, I saw it in
No
the
one
theater. I
cared.
remember,
Yeah, no one
yeah,
cared. Yeah.
right, yeah. So yeah, it's interesting with this movie to kind of see like Russell Mulcahy probably his name probably did enough to get it. Dolph probably wouldn't have been a big enough name, and Gina Bellman as well. But it's like, and maybe I don't know if they could have sold it that way. But then it's like if they tried to sell the sensual part or the sex, the sexuality more, then would people think it's an erotic thriller, which it's not that either.
It's like it felt more made for cable, to be honest, like
Yeah,
late night cable. I was also thinking when I was watching this, like I was thinking like The Specialist, which came out like 2 years before this with Stallone
yeah.
and Sharon Stone, which didn't do well either. And I was like Assassins the year after that was '95. Yeah, so it's yeah, I feel like action was changing at that point. And I feel like action wasn't didn't become the same until The Matrix in '99. I think that's when it really kicked off again. 'Cause it was like sci-fi action. And then superhero stuff started coming in after that. So yeah, I just think it was like a change of the tide. And I think that the old school was out and they were looking for new blood. Statham, Jet Li, people like that were like coming in. So
Well, yeah, it's kind of crazy to think that with Dolph because he would have been in his, I think he would have been 39, 38, 39
yeah,
when
he
he was
wasn't that
making this
old.
movie.
Yeah, he wasn't that old.
Yeah. And it's not until 2010 when he's like, almost 60 at that point. Or I guess, yeah, no, yeah, he would have been 50. Well, actually, he would have been 53. He was born in 57. So he would have been,
Uh,
yeah. So, but, it's like, yeah, when with the Expendables, when they do the Expendables, and he kind of steals the show in that one, and then suddenly he was in demand again. People were using him in commercials, and they were having him do all kinds of things. But he was kind of languishing with this stuff, and but you could see how if you're Dolph and you're looking at all these other projects like Peacekeeper and Minion and stuff like that, and you
Right.
see here's Russell Mulcahy and you read the script and you're like, oh yeah, this actually looks pretty good. And I think I could, I like the idea of doing this part. I like, this all looks like it's got good stuff in it. And then like you say, it's not marketed properly or whatever. It just ends up kind of dying in the direct to video world like that. It probably was like another disappointment for him.
I just saw the budget for this movie was $9 million.
Yeah.
So that's probably another thing that I've sold on him, for him. So yeah, I feel like it came out at the wrong time. There's a pre-internet popularity, you know, cable was at its peak, but there was so much similar stuff like this on cable to begin with, TV shows or movies. Um, I think the Expendables worked because the internet really built that movie up, and your nostalgia. People, oh, that's what these guys are at. Okay, we'll watch this. So yeah, I feel like that was the mid '90s were a very tough time for a lot of those '80s stars. I think, so they had to either reinvent themselves or just retire altogether. Um, but he kept going. He kept making movies. Good for him. Just I guess it just didn't pan out the way he wanted it to.
Yeah, yeah, no, exactly. And yeah, I mean, you think about the mid '90s too. I mean, that's what Nicolas Cage, right? He
Yeah,
gets
Nicolas
his
Cage, another one. Yeah,
yeah, he gets his big roles of like The Rock,
Con Air, stuff like
kind of
that. Yeah.
yeah, and I think that also was kind of a thing where it's like, I think we didn't realize that 80 '89, I think it was, or yeah, what Die Hard, the first Die Hard movie,
It was 88.
88,
Yeah.
88, yeah. That we didn't realize what trend that was starting because people were kind of accepting Bruce Willis as an action lead along the lines of a Schwarzenegger or a
Hmm.
Stallone, but really he was more considered like an any guy playing,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so then the studio started looking like, do we have to have Stallone or Schwarzenegger for these? Or what if we have Nicolas Cage, in The Rock and Con Air? Could we do that? Like, do we need Stallone to be in Con Air? Do we need, and then it's like, and then I think what they realize is that like, oh, actually, Nicolas Cage works better in Con Air than Stallone or
Hmm.
Schwarzenegger because you want a guy who looks like he's the underdog. That like if it's Stallone or it's Schwarzenegger, he's just kind of running through that plane and just destroying everybody in the first
Right.
act,
Right.
and the whole thing's
Yeah.
over. And that I think that changed. I mean, it kind of comes to a head maybe with Matt Damon in the Jason Bourne movies, or I mean, even like Liam Neeson with the Taken movies, right? It's like,
Hmm.
we just edit this enough and you don't realize that it's a 60-year-old man who's beating these people up, and so yeah, it like you said, it was quite a change. I mean, I think like the last big blockbuster was like I think True Lies was 94, was like kind of like,
94. Yeah.
yeah, and that's the same year that you get Pulp Fiction, that you get Shawshank, you get Clerks. So yeah, it was changing at that time, and this movie was probably, like you said, I mean, a $9 million budget. They probably thought they were going to get a limited release or like a European release, maybe. And maybe it did have a European release because sometimes these movies did. It's like if you could get Dolph. I don't know if Gina Bellman, she's from New Zealand, but she might have had a European audience as well. Mulcahy, I think, I think they had but the fact that Mulcahy was still directing big budget films after this, doing a Resident Evil movie, for example, show that maybe this was meant to be in the theater. One of the things I read was that it was originally supposed to be done in '91 with Rutger Hauer as
Mm.
the Dolph Lundgren character, which
Yeah,
would have
that
made
would have
sense
been
in
weird.
'91.
Yeah, that would
Yeah,
have been weird.
yeah. That probably would have been direct to cable as well, or like a limited release that, did its damage in the secondary market.
Yeah, I can't see her in that role.
Right,
It's
right,
hard. Especially
So
if you have like a relationship with a woman like that. Yeah, I don't know.
right, exactly.
I
So
can't see it.
it looks like this thing had theatrical releases in Japan and Korea, and
Okay.
also like maybe South Africa, and then it looks like some other countries like Brazil, Italy, Thailand. So it did have some theatrical releases, but then like most like in the United States it says TV premiere, so it must have been direct to cable, maybe like HBO or Cinemax or one of those.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Showtime, something like that.
yeah, yeah, it kind of feels like a late night cable movie. Though even though it feels like a late night cable movie, I think anybody watching late night cable watching this would have been like, well, there's no nudity or or sex. I think there's a little bit of a moment where Gina Bellman's character is nude after the sex scene, but for late night cable, right? This is
But
definitely
very
tame.
tame. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's yeah. I was thinking about the whole Bruce Willis comparison and going like, could you see Dolph Lundgren in The Sixth Sense?
yeah,
Probably not.
right,
And
exactly.
I think that's
Yeah,
what you're probably right. They're probably looking for action stars that were very versatile. That can
yeah,
do a whole bunch of stuff like, action, drama, romance, comedy. And I don't think Dolph Lundgren really. I mean, he could do comedy. He's been in some funny stuff, but I don't think he's like a comedic actor.
right.
Um,
Yeah,
like a Matt Damon could do anything. So of course, he can make him Jason Bourne.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, yeah, I guess you're kind of right. I have to figure like who can we market it in multiple genres, who will make us the most money,
yeah,
and
yeah.
those 80 action stars, maybe besides Schwarzenegger, maybe wouldn't be able to do that.
No,
Because
no.
Schwarzenegger had the personality, so he could probably pull it off.
Right, he could do like a junior or
Yeah,
twins, right? I
twins.
remember
Yeah,
twins. I remember a friend's birthday, for sleepover. We went and saw twins, there was like a group of us. It was like four of us or whatever. And I remember. I mean, we must have been like I think we were in fourth grade. There's a scene. Was it Kelly Preston? Was that who played the love interest for Schwarzenegger? I can't remember who the actor was, but like there's a scene where Schwarzenegger's sleeping on the floor because it was his character, and then she's like, "Oh, this bed's too lumpy," and she comes and lays down next to him, and it's like, as kids we all got a kick out of it, even though like we probably shouldn't have been like if they were realizing what was going on there, but yeah, and I'll say quickly, yeah, HBO aired this,
okay,
so yeah, so
makes
that's
sense.
yeah, it might have been late. If it was HBO, then it might not have been late at night. It might have been more of a an evening premiere or something like that. So maybe it wasn't quite as a disappointment for somebody like, watching Cinemax late at night on a Saturday or something.
I kind of wonder what the audience was for that. Probably not a big audience. If I feel like we kind of got lost in the show because I never heard of this movie until you mentioned it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I figure also like '96, like MTV's huge, all that stuff is huge at that time. So it's news was big,
Yeah.
obviously. So yeah, I feel like it was just a bad case of bad timing. Um, but yeah, but it's a shame because it's a well-made movie, and you can find this. I found this on. I watched this on Prime, by the way.
Yeah.
So it's on
Yeah.
Prime. It's on Tubi. I saw it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Someone actually uploaded it. So you can find it now. I kind of wonder what Dolph feels about this movie.
Yeah. He must be proud of it. Like, I feel like he must be proud
He
and
should.
like,
He should be.
yeah. Yeah. It's funny. I had Chris the Brain on to talk about Detention, another one that
Oh,
Dolph did in like
mhm.
'04, I think it was.
Yeah, yeah.
And I have it on DVD. I got like I bought it used. I guess it was the Blockbuster version, which I didn't realize. And I guess for the Blockbuster version, they had a featurette that they included as well. And I think it was called After School Special, and school is spelled SKOOL.
Oh,
And but it was like they were interviewing Dolph, and Dolph's like, yeah, I've done like 25 of these so far, so I'm pretty good at how doing them. And the way he said, I've done 25 of these so far, you got the sense that like he,
he's over it.
right, exactly. And so I bet like he relished the being able to do this movie. And I think the fact that Gina Bellman was so game to play
Hmm.
her part
Yeah.
opposite him, it probably made it even better that like, okay, we're gonna really both act in this movie. And then Russell Mulcahy's direction and cinematography. I mean, the big thing is that Russell Mulcahy, I didn't know this, but I read this, preparing for the episode, that he really likes to have water in his
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this movie has tons of it. It's raining, it's pouring outside. Chris Haredale rips the toilet off the thing and like the water spilling everywhere.
I,
And then,
I, I mean, look, this is like the Ride the Ram videos. They're all
right,
pretty much
yeah,
around water.
yeah, right, exactly, right. What was did Mulcahy direct the one? Was it Wild Boys that Simon
He
LeBon
did.
almost
He
died?
did. He did do Wild
Yeah,
Boys. Yeah.
yeah, because he was on that like he was like
Hmm.
strapped to that fan
Upside
and
down. Yeah. Upside down. Yeah.
he almost drowned because it got stuck. Yeah,
He did Total Eclipse of the Heart.
yes, that's right. Yeah, yeah,
That has water in it.
yeah,
Pressure has water in it. It's very
yes, that's
dull.
right. Yes, yeah,
So yeah.
yeah. I mean, 'cause those 80s videos, there'd be like these moments where people would just get hit with a bucket of water.
Yeah,
Just,
yeah.
yeah, it just would happen just off screen. It was, yeah,
I was still standing on the beach.
that's right. That's right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Because I remember MTV had a series called like the 80s Strike Back or something like that, where
Yep, yep, yep.
yeah, they talked about like kind of the early days. They did two of them. They did like one for the early part of the 80s and then another one for the hair metal part. But when that early part, they were interviewing Russell Mulcahy and he was like talking about those early days. He's like, oh yeah, you just throw in, someone with a paint down body and an animal or, it's like, he's like, it sounds really crass, but we all had a lot of fun while we were doing it, and it is kind of a crazy thing when you go back and watch some of those videos, especially the ones that he directed. Yeah, because between him and like Mary Lambert, who started doing all the Madonna videos,
Hmm.
yeah, and so it was kind of like one of those things where it used to be. I think when they first started doing music videos, it was about like get a film student to just put something together, and then by the time Mulcahy and Mary Lambert and them start doing them, and then you get like what is it, Samuel Bayer? Was that the one who did Nirvana? Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Yeah. You had like
Yeah.
David Fincher doing Madonna videos,
That's right. Yeah.
Michael Bay
Yeah.
doing Meatloaf videos. Like, it was a whole bunch of big time
Yeah.
directors doing videos.
That's right. Fincher did. I forgot.
Spike Jones.
That's right. Spike Jones too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing. And it's kind of crazy to see like with Mulcahy, like the DNA from those 80s videos in this movie, but working. Like it works, it's
Yeah,
not like a
yeah.
hokey kind of thing.
Yeah, like I said, it looks very professional. Like you could tell $9 million was used in this movie. Like you could tell.
Right.
But
Exactly.
even like the explosion effects, you could tell they kind of like green screen effects,
Yeah.
but they don't look that bad.
No.
Like
I-
you could tell like some of like computer animation, like you could tell where like the matting is,
yeah.
but it's not as evident as you watch it. Like it gets better and better as it goes.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think the elevator explosion in the end is probably the
Yeah,
poorest looking
yeah.
of the
The last
effects.
one, yeah,
But so
yeah.
much of it before that does look good that,
Hmm.
you kind of forget. And again, so much of the rest of the movie does so well that you kind of forgive that, I think.
Like that helicopter stunt must have cost a lot of money.
Oh,
Where
yeah,
they shoot the
yeah.
two pilots at the beginning, like wow, like
Yeah.
that's like dangerous.
Right. And to your point too about this being like, okay, well, is it an action movie or not? I mean, that's, this is on Will's exploding helicopter list. It's
I
got,
mean, it's action, but it's not like an action full on like top to bottom action movie
yeah.
with a grunting, badass hero. No, this is a very dramatic version of an action movie in a
Yeah,
way.
and it is, and it's like yeah, I think when I watched it when I was younger, and I watched it with a big group of people, you get these long stretches of time where there's no action, but back then I couldn't appreciate like I could this viewing that the action is more the interactions between Dolph and Bellman,
Yeah,
and that it plays out so well that. Back then I would have wanted more action, but now I watch it, I'm like, oh no, this is actually really good.
I think when you're older, you kind of look for different things. The romance, the chemistry, the relationships with characters. The whole stuff with the flashbacks kind of builds on the relationships, how they save each other. These flashbacks, I think, and it builds up to their romance. And then the ending, like I said, the Casablanca ending. But yeah, I think it works. You understand who these people are, why Dolph doesn't want to do this job anymore. And then you get these two guards who are very different from each other, where the more evil one, I guess, is the one at the end.
Right,
Because
right,
he's kind
exactly.
of playing everybody.
Right.
So yeah, it's a lot going on in a very simple story, and it's very subtle, and I kind of like that. I kind of like action films like that, where it's like you're not expecting much out of it, but when things happen, you go, oh, okay, wow, okay.
Yeah, and it's like the setting, the sets are really nice.
The use of the building is done so well, and the way it's
Yeah,
lit, how grimy it looks, how
right.
dilapidated it looks, like it looks great.
Yeah, all of it is good. It's kind of a funny thing to think about because, so the previous two Dolph movies that I talked about were, with The Minion with you and then
Hmm.
Detention with Chris. And I spent, for both of those ones, spent the entire, the time talking about it, just talking about everything that was wrong with it, right? Like just making fun of it and everything. This is a movie that I have much further down my list of Dolph movies. I, in my head, had it as one of his lesser movies. And I'm just sitting here with you. We're just talking about how great it is the whole time. And so it's like I was not expecting, like out of the three movies that I've, three Dolph movies that I've discussed lately, this was not the one that I was expecting to be the best out of those three.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I was expecting like another Minion, to be honest with you. And I was like,
Right.
and then like I'm watching like the beginning, I'm going, wow, I'm actually very invested in what's going on.
Right, exactly. And I mean, to be fair, this is part of it, right? Is that Russell Mulcahy? I mean, looking at Dolph's career, I mean, Russell Mulcahy might be, you know, one of, if not the best director Dolph is. I mean, I guess he technically worked with the Coen brothers when uh, he did that very small part that I think was kind of cut out of Hail Caesar. So,
Yeah.
so I guess that's technically the best director he's worked with. So outside of the Coen brothers, Russell Mulcahy might be the best director. I was trying to look at some of the other movies that he's done. I mean, yeah, 'cause I was, like even like Creed 2 or something like that. Like I don't know that like,
I guess
um,
Stallone's a good director. I guess that would count.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, because I mean, obviously, like I think like the Creed 2 or Aquaman, you probably look at, yeah,
hmm
say okay, they're better than
James
this
Wan.
movie.
Yeah, James
Yeah,
Wan. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I think some of those are better than this movie, but as terms of like a director to work with, yeah, it might be Mulcahy, as an auteur. Yeah, James Wan, like you said, yeah, James Wan, maybe okay, maybe we'll, yeah, maybe, yeah, I don't know.
Mark L. Lester for a show was it
Oh,
Showdown in
that's
Little
right, Show Little
Tokyo?
Tokyo. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good point. That's another good one. So yeah, so Mulcahy's up there, I guess, is one of the best ones. But he
Yeah.
has worked with some other good
He-
directors before.
I mean, Mulcahy is definitely a name that you would
Yeah,
know. Like Highlander alone, like okay,
yeah,
that's a
yeah.
great one. The sequels not so much, but the first one's great.
Yes, the sequels. Yeah, well, good. Yeah, I mean, you think about that, like talk about soft reboots and that kind of thing, right? I mean, Highlander, it's like they make the second Highlander, and they're so embarrassed by it that they make a third movie that ignores the sequel, and then they make a TV show that ignores the second and third movies. So,
And
yeah,
they do a fourth one that kind of combines the TV show and the movie.
right,
It's just like
exactly,
what?
exactly. Yes, yeah. I guess what they're rebooting that now, right, with Henry Cavill.
Yeah, Henry
And
Cavill's
so.
in it. Yeah.
Yeah, because I saw Karen Gillan is in it. She's obviously from Scotland, and she was like, "Yeah, I won't need the dialect coach for this." And I was like, "I don't know. I think you do need the dialect coach because nobody that's Scottish in those movies plays a Scotsman, right? Like the only Scottish person was Sean Connery, and he was playing an Egyptian Spaniard. But everybody else who was Scottish was from somewhere else, right? Like Lambert is from France. It's like.
Well, there's a wrestler that we call Drew McIntyre. He's also in the movie playing Henry Cavill's brother, and he's Scottish. So I
Oh,
guess
right. So they're so
they're
they're trying to
embracing
go.
it. Yeah,
Yeah, they must be trying to go more Scottish then,
yeah.
for this new one, which I'll be happy to see it. I'm kind of curious to see what it looks like, what happens. I worry about some of these ones because it seems like with these sort of lesser IPs that they like Masters of the Universe is probably a great example. Maybe even Mortal Kombat you could put in that category. Definitely Masters of the Universe, where it's like it's almost like the theatrical release is just there to kind of get some buzz
hmm
for the streaming release that comes out later.
Yeah. Now my people are watching it and enjoying it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw someone wrote something article saying that I wish I watched this in theaters because
Hmm.
I guess they expected it to be bad. I was like, oh, this is
Yeah.
actually a very good movie.
Yeah.
And I felt bad, like, oh, we made it. We were the reason why this bombed, and we apologize for that.
Right. Right. Well, because I know for me with Master of the Universe, I couldn't see it in the theater because, I had to kind of allocate my resources. And so I was going to see Mandalorian and Mortal Kombat 2. So I couldn't, I was like, well, I can't do a third one. I was going to some baseball games, I think, as well. So I was like, all right, I got to save my money here. Which I think it's going to be an interesting. I think that's part of the reason why more people, like we talked about, where more people are going to the theater is that they're doing less of other things, and so now with more money to spend, you're like, all right, well, let's go see Master of the Universe. So I'm like, but Master of the Universe, I think, missed the boat on that, unfortunately. I guess, yeah,
And it was just bad timing, bad
yeah,
release date. It's an old IP too. No one really knows it. Like the younger generation doesn't really know He-Man
yeah,
besides the memes. So yeah, but I'm glad people are watching it now and going, yeah, it was a good movie. I thought it was one of the better movies this year, to be honest with
yeah,
you. So I'm glad it's got an audience, and maybe they'll make a second after all to
yeah,
this. So
yeah. I'm gonna see it because I know Dolph has a cameo in it.
yeah,
So
yeah, it's on Prime. I don't know if you have Prime, but it's on there.
right. Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw that's on Prime. So it's been there for a little bit. So I've been meaning to do it because I was going to maybe do like a solo podcast talking about that one and the old one because I got the old one on DVD. So um,
And that
yeah,
turns 40 next year.
yeah, which is crazy. That's just yeah.
I think it's finally
It
getting a 4K too.
is it. Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That's always been an interesting one because I mean, one, I think we were talking about like Spider-Man, getting it right, Brand New Day, getting it right. But even before that, right, you could make the case that, like the very first Spider-Man, the Sam Raimi one got it right, kind of.
Hmm.
But it's like that Masters of the Universe was kind of indicative of all of these IPs not getting it right. That it was like it wasn't like the characters, it was like this whole going to space and uh, it was like it wasn't the cartoon that I watched on TV, as a kid growing up, and I was like, why can't they get these things right? Then Super Mario Brothers movie, they don't get it right. Dungeon and Drag or sorry, Double Dragon, they don't get it right.
Hmm.
So many of these things they kept messing with the IP and getting them wrong. Superman 4, it's like and so then when you finally get something that gets it right, I mean, it's like Batman, the Tim Burton one got it right, but then you see like Blade and you see Spider, it's like, okay, like I would go back to that Masters of the Universe and it would remind me of that time where it just seemed like all those movies got them wrong. All the film adaptations of comic books and toys and video games were all wrong all the time, and I think I still get that in my head when I watch it.
I think it's because back then the studios um, probably felt they knew more than the public did. And I feel like
Yeah,
once like it started shifting, it was like fans making the movies.
yeah,
So like people, I guess the people who made Blade knew who Blade was. Like Spider-Man, obviously, I was a big fan of Spider-Man. That's why he did like those 60 villains because he was a big fan of like the comic books back then. And like X-Men, Bryan Singer was a big fan of the X-Men, so he knew the characters. So yeah, so I think that the tide has shifted where they're fans now, so they know the characters through that lens, and now they're making good movies out of it. So it's interesting. Like, yeah, the 80s were the 80s, especially 87. Like you can talk about Master Universe and Superman 4. I watched that in a double feature.
right.
And that was one of the, I remember that double feature because it was such a bad double feature. So even though Master Universe, I enjoy Master Universe more today. I still get a kick out of it, but Superman 4 is terrible.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, what a time! Like we were kids, like the kids now don't understand the struggle we went through
right,
to
right.
get the property we want, the IP we wanted.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what makes the Kevin Feige thing so big is that he'd worked under Marvel for a while. Like Blade, I think, right, was one of the first ones he was a producer on.
He was definitely an X-Men for sure, the first
X-Men,
one.
yeah, and so he'd been around, and he's looking at like this whole like, well, what characters do we have the rights to? And he just starts listing off like Iron Man and Thor and stuff like that. And it's like if you had asked me, like if he had come to me and said, "Hey, I want to do this, this, and this," I'd be like, "Well, it's a cool idea, but I don't think it's going to sell." Like Iron Man, what are you going to do with
Hmm.
that? And I was saying, I was talking to somebody else. I think it was Todd Lieberman when we were talking about Superman or Supergirl and why it wasn't doing well, but it I was thinking like along the lines that like I think Kevin Feige turned Iron Man into Superman at that time. That he became the Superman of the MCU at the same time that DC was trying to put out the Henry Cavill Iron Superman. And I think it was the first Henry Cavill one came out the same year as Iron Man 3, and Iron Man 3, you know, uh, completely outdid it. And it's just
Yeah.
it's kind of a crazy thing that Kevin Feige has been able to create this thing and keep it going for so long. And it had that dip in 2023, but he's managed to keep this thing moving. And granted, a lot of talent. I mean, a lot of different directors and actors that have contributed to making it this good. But man, yeah, I don't know. The odds were against him to pull this off. I think.
He's the ultimate fan,
Yeah.
and he made it work. And I think Spider-Man actually saved his job, to be honest with
Yes.
you, because I think
Yeah.
he was struggling for a while. And I think now they're saying they're going to focus less on Disney Plus and more focus on the movie stuff. So I think now we're finally back on track.
Yeah.
I think Vision Quest is probably the last really big Disney MCU movie, TV show.
Yeah.
And supposedly all those the WandaVision, Agatha, and Vision Quest are very important for Secret Wars. So apparently they're going to lead into that.
Oh, okay. I got to get caught up on Agatha.
It's a good show. It's actually surprisingly good.
Yeah, yeah, I've got to watch that one, and yeah, then definitely visit. I mean, yeah, I mean, I think the thing with Disney Plus is that like Daredevil Born Again, I think, it didn't do as well, especially the second season didn't do as well
Hmm.
as the first season. But like one of the things about Daredevil Born Again is that you didn't need to watch that to watch Brand New Day.
Right.
And it's almost like they're kind of separate visions of New York City in the MCU. And I think they said that they were supposed to connect, but they don't really seem like they connect. And I think
No.
that's probably the model, or I mean, like I think She-Hulk could work as like, like a half-hour comedy kind of show where, you just have these goofy situations with superheroes happening, and it doesn't have to always, tie into everything, but also I don't think everything needs to be like a home run. You just have content on Disney Plus that people can go see. But maybe they're looking at it now because I mean, they did a new X-Men '97 season that
Hmm.
they're kind of, I guess, finding what works. And I think they were I guess they'd gone so long where they were printing money and everything they did was turning up like gold. And now they just decided, like you said, they're kind of realizing like, okay, we need to go with what works here. And I just hope, because I worry, because they have the rights to all the characters, that some characters are going to get parked for so long we're never going to see them. Maybe they'll just do like those television specials so we can like get them from time to time. Maybe, I don't know.
That's why I'm kind of excited for Ghost Rider because like
Yeah,
Werewolf by Night, and Man
yeah,
Thing, and all those like creatures that were like
yeah.
in that special could finally show up. Um, Mephisto could finally show up again. I think he was an Ironheart. He was the villain for that show.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
that's Sacha Baron Cohen. Who's plays him.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
yeah, so I think he's one of the main villains of Ghost Rider I read. So yeah, that way they try to create a Marvel Knights. I guess the Midnight Suns.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I guess now they can do Blade, and now that this guy's gone, you can finally do Blade. Like they canceled Wonder Man, which I was not a fan of, but I
Yeah,
love Wonder Man. I hate that they canceled it. I was waiting for a second season,
yeah,
and it's not
yeah.
wasn't that expensive to make either. So I didn't get why they canceled it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's like one of those things where because I don't know what makes success for one of those shows. And I mean, I guess it has to do with, streaming numbers, like how much, people are streaming these things.
But the thing was that was a very big success on Nielsen. That's why
Yeah.
people were confused. Like, why was it canceled?
Yeah, it doesn't, yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense. I can kind of see with She-Hulk why they wouldn't have continued, because it did seem like that was expensive to make. Yeah.
And it got problematic with the messaging. It was kind of too heavy-handed with the messaging.
Yeah, it's kind of, it I think it's the one thing about Disney Plus that's different from, like what TV, what we grew up with TV, where it's like you would just have multiple, see a show would be on, it would be on for multiple seasons, and it just would do episodes that would be standalone, and they could do whatever that, and like the old Incredible Hulk TV show,
Mm,
that kind of thing, or the old Spider-Man, and it feels like that could be something, but I think they were so geeked on having like prestige TV because they'd been so successful with WandaVision and Loki and Falcon and Winter Soldier. Yeah, I think they just wanted that prestige element. They wanted to keep doing that, and instead of just like kind of following what worked with the movies, and giving us more of that. But also too, it was Disney Plus. Disney pushing Kevin Feige to feed the monster, right? Just
yeah.
like Moon Knight. I love Moon Knight. I get a kick out of Moon Knight, but it's like I understand that like Moon Knight is probably, that TV show probably, like they don't really need to do much with Moon Knight. He was a character that, would be in a Spider-Man issue between like one big story arc and another big story arc. It's like, oh, here's Moon Knight for this episode, this issue. Uh,
Like he would be good for Ghost Rider.
Yes, you would. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I think that's the thing is like Ghost Rider probably should be the main character in like three Ghost Rider movies.
Hmm.
And then you just bring these other guys in, like you said, like Moon Knight,
Right.
I mean, the
Remember
Blade
Night.
thing, I think you made a great point about the Blade thing is that Wesley Snipes probably killed that thing because it's like, at least with Punisher, if they had used, Thomas Jane or Dolph Lundgren, you still have the Bernthal Punisher that everybody knew and loved.
Hmm.
You know, I think the same thing, I mean, I don't know with Elektra, I don't know what they're going to do. If they're going to bring in the Elodie Young, I think was the one who played her.
She's coming back.
Okay, yeah, so they'll bring her back. So they probably don't want to get too crazy with Electra with Jennifer Garner's Electra, but yeah, the Blade one, that's just it was, when you see him walk out, it's like you're
Yeah,
like, okay, Electra, I get it. Yeah, Gambit, I get it. Those I was expecting those. I'm not surprised. And then you see this third person, you're like, who's this third person? And when it's Wesley Snipes as Blade, and again, like you said, that was another one they kept secret. It was
hmm
and I was fortunate because I was a week late to Deadpool and Wolverine. So and nobody that had seen it beforehand told me. They kind of kept it a secret, which is good. But like that's another one of those moments, right, where you're just like, oh, this is so fantastic.
I remember that when he came out, everybody's cheered. Like it was
Right?
like oh
Yes.
my god, it's Blade. Like it's like the
Yeah.
nostalgia just poured out. Like oh my god,
Yes.
you remember him?
And then I remember later that year at the local indie theater, the Ritz in Philadelphia, they played Blade for at one of the nights there, and I would say about half the crowd were younger people, and so I think they saw him in Deadpool and Wolverine, and then they see this movie's going to
Yeah.
be on the big screen. Let me check this out, and of course I was watching because I was like, man, I saw it in the theater 30 years ago, and I was like, I want to see it again, and which is exciting for me to be able to see it again. But it was kind of cool to see a lot of younger people there saying like, oh, this is kind of how it all started. This is how this whole modern comic book age thing started with Blade, and so that was kind of cool to have to see that.
And it still holds up very well.
Yeah, yeah,
Even
yeah.
the
Those
second one,
first two.
even the second one, yeah, second one's still good.
Yeah,
Third
yeah.
one, unfortunately,
Right.
we don't talk
That's
about that one.
right. Exactly. Yeah. If they're gonna do a do-over for let Wesley Snipes do a do-over for his own third Blade movie that he
Th-
wants to do.
that was the funniest part to me because he showed up. I was like, doesn't he hate Ryan Reynolds
Right.
because of that their fucking movie? And then
Yeah.
they make
So
the joke in the movie too. And I was like, oh, that's fun. That's
exactly.
actually kind of clever. That's
Exactly.
very clever.
Yeah, I was gonna say 'cause I don't know if they got past that stuff, but I know Wesley Snipes said that like he was driving somewhere and he got the call from Ryan Reynolds, and he said,
Yeah,
and the thing is like when you get a call from Ryan Reynolds about doing a movie, you take the call. So
yeah.
maybe because Ryan Reynolds had gotten so big that he kind of respected him after that movie.
hmm
But yeah, you're right. Like he did not get it. I mean, the thing was that Wesley Snipes realized when he was making that movie that they were bringing the Jessica Biel and Ryan Reynolds on to
Yeah.
replace him.
He said, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
What a terrible movie.
it's all of it. Yeah, Dominic
Poor
Purcell.
Parker Posey, man. She was trying her damnedest to make that work.
Right. Yes, I know. Yeah, it's which again, I know we're kind of going off track from the Dolph movie, but again, I think this is another thing about the Kevin Feige, hit this run of these movies is that it's so common that when you get to like the third movie in a series it goes bad, or if you push it to a fourth it goes bad, or whatever it is, with these kind of things. And it does feel like a lot of those rules were breaking, that like he never really had anything as bad as Blade 3, I think. Say what I want about the
No,
the Marvels of Eternals, but or he never
no,
had X-Men Origins Wolverine, or
no.
it's kind of a crazy run to go that long without having something like that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what the worst one is. Like the second Thor, was it
Right.
Dark World was
Yeah.
not good.
Yeah.
Um,
I think that's what I have as my list. That's my bottom ranked one.
Iron Man 2 wasn't good either.
Yeah. See, I
Um,
liked I like Mickey Rourke in
yeah,
that.
he was great in that, but the
Yeah.
movie itself wasn't that great.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but none of them were as bad as the ones you mentioned. Yeah. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. It's
yeah, the Spider-Man getting better and better as it goes is kind of impressive.
right. Yeah. Right. That's a good point too. That right. That the first one is pretty good. It was like a good first entry
hmm
for Spider-Man. And then each one, like you said, I mean, the first one, that first one, the thing that carries the first one for me is Michael Keaton.
Yeah, he's good. Oh, he's great.
I love that scene when they're going to the prom,
I
and
just
he's
rewatched
talking.
it the other day. Actually, I was thinking like that's one of the best scenes
Isn't
ever in
that
an
great?
MCU
He's like
movie.
calling him Pete and stuff.
Yeah,
Like, yeah. Oh, so it's almost like Tom Holland isn't the star of that one yet. It's almost like Michael Keaton. But then as you get further on, the second one he's more, but
hmm
still Jake Gyllenhaal is just amazing. But then like that third one when it's like everybody's in it, I guess maybe this is this one where this one that just came out.
I feel like this one's the one where he's like officially like Spider-Man. Like
Yeah, he's
adult Peter
taking it.
Parker. Yeah, like this is the real no Tony Stark, no supporting character. Well, but even the Hulk is not even really a big supporting character or Punisher either. They're
Right.
very they're part of his world, but not like
Yeah.
taking over his spot.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like that's the most confident he's ever been in a Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of crazy. And one of the so I was looking at some of the critic reviews. Most of the critic reviews were positive, but one person was saying like, "Oh, there's too many supporting characters, and it diminished his story." And I was like, "I don't think that's the case. It felt like he was the lead, even when he's
Yeah,
interacting with the supporting characters. Like, I think there's only a few moments where we get Jean Grey's backstory that Spider-Man's not
right,
around.
right.
It seems like every other scene, either Spider-Man is there or people are talking about Spider-Man. Like, Punisher and MJ are talking about Spider-Man. It's like he was central to everything in that movie, it felt like.
They all evolved because of him.
Yeah, yeah,
So like it's like he's not like second fiddle to anybody. They're second fiddle to him. So
yeah,
it's like I said, brand new day is the perfect title for it. Like it definitely is like a brand new Spider-Man.
yeah. Yeah, just yeah, really great. I know we kind of left Dolph there for a minute because
The both movies are good. Let's just say
yes,
that.
exactly.
But
Both movies.
Spider-Man's way better, but this movie's good
Yeah,
too.
exactly. So yeah, go out and see Spider-Man in the theater again.
Yes.
If you've already seen it, go see it again. And then come home at night and turn on when you're relaxing. You're kind of getting the theater kind of the jitters from the caffeine in the soda, and you're the kind of the that feel. I know for me, like when I go to the movie theater, a lot of times I'll go for a walk to go run errands or something after because it's like that feeling of just being overwhelmed, the sensory overload feeling.
Hmm.
When I go out into public, I've got to kind of like, and I guess that's always a different thing too, depending on where you're watching them. Because obviously you're watching them in New York City, and I'm watching them in downtown Philadelphia, where it's like, you go from the environment of the theater, and then you're in amongst people that weren't in that environment who are just going about their business. There's a little bit of a cooling off period, and Silent Trigger is the perfect cooling off period when you get home. So yeah,
Surprisingly good, very well made
yeah,
for a direct to video movie. It's
yeah,
yeah, very 90s, but it's a good very 90s. Like
yeah,
it just works. Very one villain is especially very unredeemable.
yeah,
But yeah, one of the better Dolph Lundgren performances I've ever seen in a movie. Like he's definitely working hard here. And it's like not even he's not even like revolved about the action, revolved about his relationship with the characters around him. So it's very good.
yeah. I may have to move this up my Dolph rankings. I may have to. Yeah,
You should.
yeah, right. It doesn't belong at 40, I don't think. I
No,
think I probably
no.
could move it up. So I probably just need to do a lot of rewatches on a lot of these because yeah, like for example, Detention is a goofy one that I get a kick out, or like The Minion. I think it's the thing, right? When I was watching this, it's one thing is that The Minion. This is definitely a better movie than The Minion. It's
Hmm.
definitely like objectively, you would, I think even even with I know it's subjective to talk about whether a movie's good or not, but this is objectively a better made movie than The Minion is. But I think The Minion just had like there's so many goofy elements that my friends and I got a kick out of that it had that feel for it. But yeah, it's still kind of like I there's no way I could defend, like I can't have a conversation and say, "Oh yeah, The Minion's a better movie than the Silent Trigger." Like I can't. That's not something I can
Right,
definitely do.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah,
The menu was
right.
not good.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and again, The Minion was one that I had never watched by myself before. I'd always watched it. Like the first time I watched it, my buddy was on my buddy and I were both on AIM, and we were just messaging each other while we were watching it on FX. And then I bought it, and then when my friends and I would do our Dolph Fests up in Bangor, where they lived, it was part of the Dolph Fest, and everybody got a kick out of it. They're like, "Oh, look at that Spike glove, that's hilarious," and all that kind of. And so it kind of always stuck as that kind of movie. Whereas Silent Trigger, again, I think we watched it for one of the Dolph Fests, and people were like, "Well, they got bored," because there wasn't.
Right.
But like now going through them again, it's like, man, yeah, Silent Trigger is definitely the better movie.
Hmm.
Right, for sure. Well, Freddie, as we're wrapping up, anything that you wanted to plug?
For moonreviews.net still around. I haven't really updated. It's been a very chaotic summer.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to come back for the new Insidious movie.
Mhm.
But we'll see. But yeah, Letterboxd is where I'm usually at. It's Fred the Wolf. Blue Sky as well, same thing. Instagram, same thing. So yeah, I mean, you want to watch me rate movies, and Letterboxd is where to go.
Yeah.
But reviews might be coming back. October's coming up, so there might be some horror stuff coming up soon. I might review Street Fighter when it comes up. We'll see. It might be horrific for a different reason. We'll find out soon.
Right. Yeah, I'm worried about Street Fighter. I'm just going to say that I'm nervous. But I shouldn't let the trailer make me nervous because again, these trailers are not,
Yeah.
yeah.
Did
But
you see?
I
Did you see the new one with Blanca?
no, I haven't seen that one
Where
yet. So maybe I need to check.
Jason Momoa is Blanca.
Yeah, I should check that out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So because yeah, I'm just tired of 80s and 90s songs being slowed down and remixed and
It's
yeah, right.
epidemic at this point. The needle drop needs to stop.
Right, exactly. All that stuff. Right, exactly. 'Cause just, look at the Thomas Crown Affair trailer. That's just, it's just Michael B. Jordan in a suit. That's all you need to sell that movie. It's like you either like Michael B. Jordan in a suit or you don't, and that's it.
Right, right, right.
Yeah, exactly. Simple enough. Right. Well, thank you again for coming on, Freddie. This one was a ton of fun. I think both the movie was fun, but also fun talking about, other movies that were in the theater and all of that.
Thank you for having me back on. It's great to talk about modern stuff because it's finally stuff to talk about, some positive stuff to
I
talk about.
know.
I can't wait to see Spider-Man beat Endgame's record, hopefully. Um,
Yeah,
Even though Endgame is definitely getting a re-release next month, so who knows?
that's
They're
right.
doing an extended cut to explain supposedly what Steve did after the gems. So I don't know. That's to explain why Doom is doing what he's doing. So we'll find out.
So that could be, and that could also mean Endgame gets pushed past Avatar.
Yeah, I
So
might actually buy a ticket for that because I'm curious what the extra footage is. It's supposed to be like 7 minutes longer.
okay, yeah, I didn't see it in the theater when it came out the first time because I was like, I don't know if I
Oh,
can do it 3 hours, but maybe I need to get myself ready. So like I can go see that one in the theater for 3 hours because if I don't make it, I've already seen it before, so I won't,
right, right, right.
but because I think I mean I'm gonna have to do Doomsday in the theater, and that's gonna be 3 hours, so 3 hours plus, all right?
Plus Dune 3 also 3 hours.
Yeah, so
God.
Dune 3 I might miss as well because but definitely Doomsday I'm set. I have to do that one. So
Someone told me I should
yeah,
do a double feature that day. I was like, I don't know about that. I don't think
yeah,
that's happening. No.
you got to do if you do a double feature of those two, it's got to be like a morning matinee for one, and then
Yeah. I
then
I
come in later.
I need to pee, so
Right, exactly. You need a big break. I remember when Endgame first came out, there was a movie theater in Boston, Coolidge Corner Theater. It's like an indie theater. They did all of the movies back to back.
yes, I
And
remember that.
yeah, and there's a radio guy. There's like an intern or something who worked at one of the talk radio stations in Boston. They sent him to do it, and
Oh God.
yeah, he said that like they would have breaks where you could use the sinks to like essentially give yourself a bath
Oh,
in the bath, right? Because you're there for so long, right? You're there. I mean, what is that? It was like 20 something hours, right? Because it was
it's all the movies, right?
right. So it was 23 movies actually. That's right. So it was more than that's right. It's 23 movies because it was
Oh,
like it ended like the culmination of going to see all of them was Endgame. You'd be there for Endgame. So yeah,
yikes! That's a lot of days.
exactly. Yeah. So I don't know if I would have been I think for the most part people didn't do the whole thing, but I mean I guess there must have been some. I mean, like I said, the radio show was having this one guy do it. So I think
That's
he
like a
was losing
weekend
it.
alone.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
that's
he
like a weekend
slept.
alone.
Right, exactly. I think it's what,
Uh,
you're just, you're done, so yeah,
pick and choose the movies. Like Thor: The Dark World. I'll take that during that.
right, exactly. I'll take a break. Yeah. But that was the thing is like, he was given the chance, he had to watch them all. So he couldn't skip out on Thor Dark World or what, one of those that would have been the one to, yeah. Or, Incredible Hulk. I probably could have taken a break there. And,
Yeah, I don't
yeah.
mind that movie all that much.
I don't mind it, but I don't know if I don't, I would have been okay to miss it in the theater, I think.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, so I guess the other thing too is like some of the ones I've seen, like Iron Man 2, I saw in the theater. So, but I wouldn't feel like I missed anything if I didn't see it in the theater again. But
yeah, yeah.
yeah, but Yeah, I guess we'll see. But yeah, but no, but anyway, yeah. Thank you again, Freddie, for coming. Already we were just about wrapping up, and then we gotta, but thanks for coming on again. It was great to
Problem.
chat about these.
Always a pleasure, dude.
Absolutely, thank you. Thank you for listening. We'll be back soon. Bye, everyone.